You got to earn your liberation.
Yes. What's up, world? Welcome back to another edition of Earn Your Liberation right here on BPM. Diallo Kenyatta, Geechee Yaw, Jared Ball. What's up, fellas? What's going on? Remixers coming on in. What's up?
Good morning.
What's happening?
Remixers.
Yeah, they came in early. Jared got them all happy. They ready for this trick bag. This surprise we got for them.
So, I don't see it as a trick bag. I see it as Kwanzaa in spring. Oh, it's early Christmas.
So guess what? we in Detroit for this retreat, and
Juneteenth.
I had to roll up on that.
Exactly.
I had to roll up on that village we covered, the Avalanche Village, and it's you remember that we covered it maybe a couple months ago. The sister who was in Detroit who wear the red, black, and green.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I went to that village and it's
what does that mean?
It's just like a small little block of black excellence. It's weird. I don't know. It's like an entrepreneurial little situation, and then right when you get to the stop sign, that's when you see the blight and all the other stuff. And I had to buy some soap because I left my soap at home, and it's $15 for some natural soap that dude made. I was like, man. So yeah, it's a little rough. I won't say black capitalist enclave, but it's interesting. But the homework house looked good though. I can say that. It's a nice little building.
The homework house.
Yeah, the homework house that she built. Or
Kevin Martin in early. Kevin, peace.
Somebody else dropped a 20 earlier. What's up with all these 20s? They might,
Pete. Oh wow. 17 Nitra Dora's 27. I had to give it a shot. You put 20 on it. Had to give it a shot.
17 Night Ram Daras.
Night Ram Daras. Ram Daras. Hey, apologies, appreciation. I don't know what's going on with my background. I don't know why the lighting's doing that. I don't know why I'm flickering.
It's Elon Musk doing it to the good times, man.
Because it's not happening in the room I'm in. It's not happening on the OBS, so it's only happening on the StreamYard. That's wild. I don't know what to do about that.
It's the algorithms, man. That's what happens.
Yeah, I don't know why it's doing that.
Diallo, what's good in Chicago, man? What you got going on over there?
I'm trying to cram good times.
What did you get to? I think I got to episode 5. I couldn't do it no more.
Damn.
I'll tell you, I made it
10 minutes into the first episode.
Oh my gosh.
Are we gonna start there?
Yeah, let's get the people some of that good time. That good times.
And when are we gonna get to the? We do have an announcement. We do have a big announcement.
Make people wait. If we can get to 1,000, we got to 900 last time.
Oh, if we get to 1,000 in the live, we'll make the announcement. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, as soon as we hit 1,000, we'll reach it. So y'all gotta keep sharing. Then we'll.
I think that's actually fair.
Yeah, because we be hitting 950 and stuff.
And it's a big announcement. You know what I mean? Let me try to make an adjustment here myself because I don't know if this is good. If it was the picture, let me see.
If that zoom looked like it helped. If you zoomed in a little bit. Oh no, that's a new cartoon.
That's just the cartoon. The digital world couldn't even handle the original.
I know it's Elon Musk, man. I'm telling you.
Well, I don't know if either of you want to have a starting place, a preferred starting place. I'm happy to defer to either of you if you want to get started on it.
I'll start with the intro of the show, the little loop that they play, and during the intro, as they represent throughout the whole time, the daughter, who's the revolutionary, she has a sign up during the intro saying "defund everything." Yeah, chicken too. So I thought that was like a interesting kick when they, as soon as you open the cartoon, they kind of they set the precedent of how they're gonna handle her throughout the whole all the episodes so far. All 5 of them I watched so far. It's kind of like, you know, emphasizing revolutionary people or rhetoric the whole time. So yeah.
Well, that was actually what I noticed was one holdover from the original, because that's what they did with Michael in the original. They put the militancy in the child, in the youth. And as the show went on, he slowly lost that. Now, it was balanced by some other important differences. But so that's the other thing. So we lose Thelma, and Thelma is replaced by a drug dealing baby. And JJ,
I thought Michael is the baby, because Michael's the youngest one, right? Because Michael's replaced by the drug dealing baby.
Go ahead. But they're not one for one. Remember, these are supposed to be the great grandchildren or the grandchildren of the original.
That's right.
So what I'm saying is, in terms of the roles that are assigned compared to what we grew up with, they replaced, like we would have had Thelma, they get, so I'm not saying it's a one for one. I'm just saying in terms of the characters, because the Michael, the youthful revolutionary, is the young girl,
right?
In this so she's what I think is the updated Michael role. And then there are some other things, but go ahead, Diallo. It's not that deep. I can come back to it.
Can I say something that's kind of peculiar that might be happening? That this new Good Times is provoking a revisioning or a historical rewrite of the original one. Because now it's the way people are talking, like, yeah, this new Good Times, like the original Good Times was this revolutionary piece of media, like this radicalizing revolutionary piece of media that they've disparaged, this great icon of Black pride and Black artistry that is now being besmirched. So it's kind of peculiar to me, because I'm like, was the original all that positive or great or sacred?
It was, so to me, it was not, to your point, it was not some perfect revolutionary media, but it was worlds in advance of this. Right. So what my 2 sentences were, this is George Jackson's post-revolutionary moment drawn in cartoon form. This is what happens when there is no militant threat, no real challenge to power, and white folks can now safely repackage old IP and sell it back to us in degraded form. So the original was meant to be a response to a militant political climate that was meant to suppress it by giving a version of Blackness that white folks were comfortable with. But even that version was forced to do things that were in advance of this one. That's all I'm trying to say. So we did get, so for instance, the father figure I thought was a key perfect example. In this, he's JB Smooth. He's a complete buffoon. He hates his kids. He's almost just disrespectful of his wife. In the original, James was far from perfect, and I admit a bias here, because he was my televised wannabe father figure. He was the man I envisioned myself growing up to be one day. But even in advance, even with all of the flaws, he was worlds in terms of projecting fatherhood, what I would conceive of as manhood, as way better than this clownish, silly dude here. And then, of course, in real life, the actors. I'm okay. No, I'm not. Well, I mean, you could dismiss it as that, but and that's why Esther Roll and now just Drew James. I want to call him James Evans. I know that's not his name.
Oh, John Amos.
John Amos. That's ultimately why they challenged the writers of the original, which is why I think it's interesting that Norman Lear was happy to get rid of Amos in the original, because he didn't want the show to become a cartoon and a caricature and centered around JJ and Dynamite and all that other kind of stuff. And then Norman Lear comes back before his death to co-sign this, to say, now I'm happy with this. So
that was wild.
And again, the point still is the continuity of the reality that this is all happening under the umbrella of white individual and corporate ownership, surveillance, and allowance. So, but yeah,
so some of the buffoonery that I've seen throughout the episodes, you have initially the singing roaches, you have this antagonism. Yeah, you have this antagonism between the white Jesus and the black Jesus. So, you know, the mother is representing the white Jesus, and then the kids was like, the black Jesus is the real one. So she prayed to the white Jesus and get what she want. And she prayed to the black Jesus and get what she want immediately. And then again, the slight to the daughter of like, yo,
positive.
I mean, maybe to you, I don't know, maybe if you wanted to be positive, but and then she they said to the daughter like, yo, you need to stop protesting. What I tell you about protesting before breakfast? So she went on to talk about how spam is racist. Like spam is like a racist creation. I mean, I don't know. I never ate spam. I mean, I don't know much about it. And then, like we said before in the intro last week, the baby's selling crack. Like the baby's selling crack on the block. And then he have a shootout with all the rappers who named Baby. Jared, I don't know if you saw that the Bitcoin jab.
Of course, it's in my notes.
When people, it seemed like people was kind of paying whatever they want. I mean, I wasn't paying attention to the fair.
Well, what I took from was because he literally says, "What can I pay? What can I buy with these little pieces of a coin?" So he was. I took it as he's acknowledging at least some of the correct argument.
But I think the issue was like because he actually had the Bitcoin, and each Bitcoin was worth 26,000, right? So he had 4 of them. So he actually had a grip. Because isn't it something smaller than the Bitcoin?
I didn't notice how much he had, but I just
yeah. But they gave the person gave him 4 Bitcoins, which I'm like, you know, that's a lot compared to what we know about the Bitcoin.
But even if you have a lot, you can't do anything with it except put it in your,
because it's still worth $26,000. One of them, right?
I guess. Well, no, they're actually worth more than that now.
Hold on, let me see how much.
It's up to 60-something thousand now.
One of my biggest takeaways is it's just how outdated it is. Like, first of all, they live in Cabrini Green, which doesn't exist anymore. That neighborhood's been gentrified. He's a goddamn yellow cab driver.
Right.
And I ain't saying it ain't no yellow cab drivers around, but
where's the Uber?
The whole partition, the whole nine. Like, this shit is, and then they got like, and I grew up in a housing project on Section 8. And those little housing project competitions, they used to do that kind of shit. And I just, I don't think I'm that far from the streets. I'm not that far from the ghetto, but they still do that shit. And I remember the housing project management went corporate. My old housing project had a mean old lady that used to go sit in this musty, dank office that's off to the side, that's embedded in one of the housing units that people used to hang out in, and she'd sit there and rule over the housing project with an iron thumb. But then the management has gone corporate. The management of housing projects has become professionalized. So like, and I don't know if they're hiring consultants over at Netflix, bang my line, but there's so much modern material to work with, and I think in their own imagination, they were doing a Boondocks. It was more of a merger. They think that they were doing Boondocks, like
with the Baby's Kids merger.
Right. Holding a mirror up to, society, or holding a mirror, like at the same time showing Black people, holding a mirror up to us, but also disparaging societal. It's a failed attempt, but I kind of see where they're trying to go. Because when I looked at some of the people associated with the project, it seems like they're people who had a intent trying to send a message, but it got completely lost. just like the original Good Times. You know, some people that had some good intent and attempted to do some good things, but all we remember is the dynamite. That's what most people take away from it, even and you find embedded. So I think I didn't even get through the whole episode.
So yes, so
what I've seen.
So still in episode 1, they got the baby sniffing some coke, and they have the unorganized militant protesting daughter.
And then why couldn't they have him on some Molly or you know, like why is he hustling crack?
He's smelling it too. He's smelling it and selling it.
Huh?
He's smelling and selling it.
But he couldn't be hustling Molly, or hell, it's Chicago and weed is legal. He couldn't be like a
dispensary king,
artisanal weed dealer. He couldn't work at a dispensary or some shit. They can just update this shit. That's what
dispensary would have been dope.
It's just so fucking outdated. I mean, there's modern coonery, there's modern buffoonery. Why did they have to dip so far back for some shucking and jiving when there's modern versions of all that?
Right.
They could live in. Why not put him on O Block and have him drive Uber? That's all I'm saying.
So a couple more things on the first episode that they try to hammer home with the revolutionary. So she is always unorganized. She's always one person with a sign yelling at people, protesting food processing, and say it. And so at one point the flies
riding around,
the flies came around her and was like, yo, because she saw this cornbread and she was ready to give up the revolution for cornbread. And the fly was like, the revolution always gonna be here because you're black. But pretty much the whole first episode, I think most of the episodes, flies just follow around the revolutionary girl, and she keep being projected as like the weakest link in her in the family, and mainly because of her revolutionary rhetoric that everybody keep telling her like, yo, just shut up. We tired of hearing that, like, enjoy life type stuff. But then once you get to like the second episode, the baby is always kicked out of the house because the dad don't like him because he's a drug dealer and he's this whatever. But the baby has to sneak in the house to get pampered and all this other stuff. But he treating it like, call me when your man ain't home. That's what he said to his mama, like, call me when your man ain't home. Cause I guess he lives upstairs, and like the mom is like referring to herself as like a bad bitch and all this other stuff. But one interesting thing, when JJ or whoever the guy was at school, did you see when the math teacher was asking him, like, could you, do this problem? And he gets distracted from school and he like paints. But that first mural that he painted was militarized police armored up against white people. Did you see that? And they didn't talk more about it. And I was trying to figure out, was there some type of math thing? Because the math was like weird math. Like 3 + 4 = 5 and something like that. And he said, this is the perfect answer to it. But I guess I wasn't catching whatever message it was, but I did see like the militarized police, like armored up against the white folks. And then you have like the weird ass teacher who's smoking and drinking, and was explaining to him like, this ain't the Cosby's. So they took a jab at the Cosby. And then like the JJ character guy, like pretty much presents that he's into art activism, and so all this art is centered around activism. So yeah, I thought that was interesting. And then I think also in the second episode, the lady was talking about,
he's taking the whole thing is centered around him taking a pill, Adderall, I'm assuming, to stay focused, and to do so if there was some nod to Diallo's point about updating, I thought that would have been it, but it's not raised. So back in the original, when I was a kid, we would have gotten an episode where someone had gotten into drugs, and by the end of the episode, they learned that they're not supposed to be on drugs. And it would have been one of them kind of messages. This was depicted more as everybody's on a pill or not. And while the girl does struggle and throws the pills away, it's not on the basis of let's not do drugs. It's on the basis of I don't want him to win and be smarter than me. And if we're both just sober, I'll win. So that's how she's able to resist taking the pill herself and competing that way. So she says, just throw the pill away, and then I'll just beat him on, straight up. But there's no overt, at least, let's not do drugs. It's, it's just sort of there. So by the way, there's a couple of people that have raised the question of the value of Bitcoin. And the point that I was really trying to make is that, yes, he could have technically taken the Bitcoin, put them on the market, sold them, and walked away with a couple $100,000 maybe. But the point that I'm trying to focus on is that the claim that they have any other value other than being an asset that is a security traded and invested in and speculated upon, like any other, is silly. And that my point is, as he acknowledges in the show, I can't actually spend them on anything. I can't pay my rent with it. So the only value it would have had is if he had sold it as if it had been any other security or investment opportunity. And that's sort of my point from the beginning. That's all this stuff ever is. So right. Yeah, in the short run, he could have made a couple dollars, but it's not only because some other suckers coming behind him willing to pay.
Right.
All right. Sorry.
I don't know if Diallo liked the Black Jesus, because the Black Jesus the whole time is a video gamer. So he's playing video games and
he's sitting. Who's he sitting with? Who's that supposed to be? Is that St. Paul who does the gates?
I don't know who.
Okay.
I literally wasn't paying him much attention. The second guy, I actually can't picture him right now, but I remember, I guess God kept giving Jesus.
He's got like a toga on.
No, matter of fact, I think he's Jesus. I think he's Jesus.
No, the other one I thought was Jesus.
I don't know. I thought he was God.
Because he's the one who was saying, I don't want to have anything to, like, they're calling. Because he says, the other one holds up the message and says, they're calling for you. And he's like, I don't, and when it came to the girl's menstruation, he was like, I don't want to get involved. And he made some little joke about, referencing cancellation.
This is definitely some good time shit. I'm looking at the fight scene. Not good times. This is definitely a Boondocks attempt at a Boondocks.
Mm-hmm.
And they could just show Black people the harsh realities in a comedic way, but embed some truth in comedy. But because look, I mean, the karate fight scene that pretty much knocks it down. I think, what's that guy's name? Aaron
Magruder, my Columbia, Maryland homeboy.
To his lawyers. But no, as about Black Jesus in this episode, or Black Jesus in the real world, the fictional, I think Black Jesus is the worst thing we could have ever had. Whoever, dug up that verse of hair of wool and burnt
bronze
really set us back. Jesus is white. I think a white Jesus would serve us better than Black Jesus.
Forgive this picture, but Diallo kept telling me this is Ozzie Davis, but I don't know if y'all can see this, but in their room,
boy, don't challenge me on history, boy.
They got Barack and a picture of,
I don't get that that's Ozzie, but I honestly
that's mayor. That's the mayor of Chicago.
Really?
That's Harold?
That's Harold
Washington and Barack. So that was another thing.
Let me tell you something about Black Chicago. That's another, talk about revisioning the past. Mr. More Than Fair. There's this obsession they have with Harold Washington in this city, the first Black mayor of shit. Yeah, that's Harold Washington. I'm sorry, that's not Ozzie Davis, but he looked like Ozzie Davis.
So a couple things before we get to another episode.
Harold.
The wife was so the husband got a PTSD dog, right? And he started being calm. He started helping out, loving his wife more, and the wife was getting jealous about it. And I think she went to the hairstylist, and she was complaining about the dog, and the wife was like,
he wasn't loving his wife more. That's part of the problem.
Well, he was being more calm to his wife and kids. Like he wasn't tripping out. He wasn't flipping out because he had his PTSD dog. But you're right. He wasn't like paying her attention either. But in the thing, she's like, I normally like dog ass men. Like that's the type of men that like, I don't, I really wouldn't want my man to have this dog thing. And so they pretty much positioned that the PTSD dog helped him not be a deadbeat dad. So now he's not as mad. And then like so the what's her name? Did you remember the daughter's name? In the
I don't remember anybody's names other than that they're still in Evans.
Yeah. So
descendant family.
the Evans joints get real weird. So with her, she's in the room with an RGB flag, and this is her first time, you know, having her cycle. And it just goes into this whole thing where the mother said
they
if
go
you use
into womanhood.
yeah, if you use a tampon, it's gonna make you it's gonna make you fast. So it's gonna make you're gonna be pregnant and all this other stuff. And so they go into the woman's womb, and they're riding through a bloodstream. It's weird. I'm sorry, but they ride through a bloodstream on the tampon. And in this womb, you have like Donald Trump. If you see that when they had like
Donald Trump is the patriarchy, and it's like a Wizard of Oz type of thing too. Like he's the Wicked Witch sending his minions to catch them, and he's trying to stop them. They have little quips about right to choose, and you know, then they go into a whole G-spot thing, which was really weird. Yeah, it was just, I mean, it was weird. It was because she's saying you're going to find your G-spot, but if you overdo it, you're going to become fat like a diabetes junkie eating too much candy.
So wow.
And by that, she means you're going to have babies and you know, lose your opportunities. So I admit, you know, I'm not going to get too personal here, but especially because my wife is home and can hear me, but I would like for us to find better ways to talk with our daughters about their development and their evolving sexual lives and bodies, where we're not condemning and attaching fear and death and trauma to the G-spot.
Right.
You know, like I mean, you know, I mean,
sex and body shaming. I mean, they went overboard with a lot of weird, dumb stuff, like, you know, her like wiping blood all over the place, and I mean, it was a bit much. And then in terms of like the patriarchy, and they had the city girls in there too. I don't know if you saw them, but the mom was claiming that, you know, you using a tampon makes you a part of the WAP agenda. Yeah. You know, this tampon will spark you into being some type of promiscuous right. girl. So it's like sex positive versus promiscuous with sex worker exploiting patriarchy, because, you know, the white men gonna start throwing their money at you. I mean, I don't even know. I would like to know who wrote that episode, and because that shit was just everywhere.
I think if there's any silver lining to it, I guess, is that they didn't put all of the patriarchy singularly within black men, which sometimes happens, it feels like, but they made it almost exclusive in this case to Donald Trump. And it's like, this is it was just very weird. It was just very weird. And I thought they could have done it. I would like to see other ways to approach.
So the rough part, I think maybe Diallo covered it. So this is tailored towards an adult cartoon, right? These kids are not going to watch this, right? Because I didn't even see there's an age limit on it.
I don't think those lines exist anymore unless parents are putting digital blockers on their kids' phones and devices. I mean, at this point, if it's online, it's online. And anybody that has any pretense, well, I put an R rating on it or I put a mature content warning on it, and that should start. No, I mean,
did that ever matter? See, you keep saying all this stuff
that's
now.
That's a good point. Like, good point.
Did it ever matter?
Good point. We used to take R ratings as signs to go see it, hunt it down. We might see a nipple in that joint.
R ratings mean watch right now. Watch right now.
Exactly. Run to the theater.
What was the other one? Was it strong graphic content? What was the other rating?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Well, it used to be at one point it was they would do not yet rated, and there's actually a great documentary about the film industry called Not Yet Rated about not, and then they would say, right, they would yeah, they didn't call it X, but it would be not rated or
SC or something. Oh yeah, not rated.
No, it wasn't SC. It was something.
What was the strong sexual content though? I think it was something. What?
They would just
no
list
children
that.
17. That replaced
NC-17. That was it. Thank you. That was it. That's what they did.
But Good Times is rated MA, mature, for mature audience only.
So did y'all get to the next episode with Elon and Bezos in them?
I got through less than half the first episode.
Yeah, I only made it to the beginning of episode 3, so I didn't.
So we were right. In the back of the couch was Elon Musk standing there looking weird as shit. So Elon Musk becomes the person who hires the driver as his personal driver. So he's like, "Oh, we made it. We made it." And so he went back home and said, "You know, I work for Elon Musk now, and we can afford to, because the house flooded, so we can afford to get out of this house and everything." And so Elon Musk hires each family member for whatever reason, including the revolutionary girl, who said, like, I'll work for you as long as you let me make a film to expose you. And so once they get hired,
so
all of them,
like Matt Taibbi, is that what she?
Once they get hired, all of them start working for Elon, right? And Elon moves them in the same type of house, everything look alike, but it's more classy. So even the roaches are classy. The roaches dressed up nice. The roaches dressed up nice, eating dinner and having caviar type shit. And towards that end of it, Elon Musk. So James Evans, or the Evans guy, the dad, he like, "Man, y'all using me, I quit." And so he quits, and it messed up the flow for the family. And so they all, like, beefing. And so now Bezos come up out of the floor, and Gates come out of the floor, and they all standing there saying like they had a plan. And like Bezos and Gates said they wanted to conquer the Evans because the Evans had this a struggle gene, which makes them able to thrive and survive through struggle and survive through anything, including ecocide. And he wanted to take them to Mars to populate the Mars. And then Elon said some shit like, because they was arguing when the dad left, Elon said, like, "I gave you black people some jobs and y'all still fall apart. I just don't understand black people." And the wife was like, "You're right. Black people don't understand black people." And so they like begging the dad to come back to work for them so they can go to Mars. And like that. I mean, I couldn't watch anymore after that, but like I got through, I think, 5 episodes just watching the last one, and that shit was, I can't see it getting any better than that. Like, I just see it going with more wild shit.
Yeah. Well, I think we laid out where, again, I think this is, again, to Diallo's initial point, I just want to reiterate that I'm with you, Diallo, on this, that the original was not some revolutionary media, but it was in advance itself based solely on the rebelliousness in the streets and in the broader community. And even then, that was as good as they were willing to give, and in terms of popular commercial media. And now, without even that level of threat currently, they're just like, man, we have the intellectual property. I'm sure Norman Lear at the end of his life, or someone working with him, was saying, let's get another bag real quick. We still own this. I mean, that's all that they're really doing with everything.
But I also think that when you see black people in Hollywood, wealthy blacks, the way they view working class and poor black people, and I do think that is blackness through the lens of affluent blacks, not just whites in the media. But every time when they want to portray black struggle, it is often portrayed, and even back in the day, I don't think they portrayed black poverty, black working classes, black struggle, black adaptability, and how adaptive black people were. So I don't think, representation was always a weird thing to call for. I think the fact that if anyone has the capacity or ability to represent you, you should destroy their capacity or remove their capacity to represent you instead of fighting for them to properly represent you.
So they did talk about adaptability and able to survive and thrive. So, and it just made me think of this. So I, about 5 years ago, before I left the US, there were like 3 African leaders I wanted to meet. PLO Lumumba, Dr. Arikana Shambo, and then Julius Malingua. I met Ariana and was not happy at all. I met some of Lumumba's young people, and I was, surprised by them. But I finally met Lumumba when I was leaving Costa Rica because he came to Costa Rica, and once he said that line, like Black people's ability to thrive or survive through everything. To me, it's just like it's like a shit on our conditions, and it's like celebrating the wrong thing to me. Like, right. So this idea of like, yeah, y'all can survive anything, ecocide, and oh my gosh, a strong gene. And so when so that's what that reminded me of. But I'm pretty sure somebody gonna look at that part if they can able to bear that cartoon and like, yeah, you're right, we can thrive through anything. We're still here, right? And Bill Gates even said, he didn't say ecocide, but he said you can survive all type of environmental catastrophes or something like that. Which is wow. Like not fight and stop any of it, but
us and the roaches that
advance
the
with the bougie.
And Diallo summarized perfectly the Vernon philosophy. That's it. The seeking for representation is an error. It's an error. But yeah.
Okay,
let's get into. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Let's get into. So we already did the 20s and the 20s. Appreciate that again.
Yeah, definitely appreciate that.
Diallo, I don't think anyone was lifting up the original as that at all. I think you were saying like Good Times, somebody or some people
have. Everyone's been talking about how Florida Evans insisted on wouldn't do the show without James Evans, and there has been kind of this mythos of the original Good Times was a positive media product. And there has been talk about how this is disgrace and disparaging. And even some of the former Good Times cast have come out and said, we did a great thing and it's been destroyed, the legacy of Good Times. And I'm like, wait, what?
But that part is true.
Yeah.
Even if it's not the revolutionary media, it is the original. And she did. I mean,
she did
did demand that the Black husband be involved.
Yeah, I'm saying she did do that. They killed him off in the 4th season. And even though they did that, and I won't have a husband, I'm saying they did that, but the product, if you look at the episodes, the theme, the tone, the representation, at that same time, Black people have many of the same complaints about the original Good Times. And I'm not saying Florida Evans didn't attempt to do something good and put in some good positive spin on it, just like everybody else. I remember, what was the other show? Like Family Matters. And the Family Matters cast was like, it became the freaking Urkel show. We were trying to show working class.
The cop.
And it became, did I do that? Dynamite. So it always, good at the best laid intentions.
Yeah, and all I'm saying is this one just skips that initial little step. That's all I'm saying. This one doesn't even give us that. Yes, singing roaches.
I mean, if you listen to the creators, to me, all I'm saying is let's not have a revision of the original Good Times as the same critiques, the way they portrayed militancy as a stupid pipe dream. And all of the shows did from then on moving forward, even in A Different World and Cosby Show. Anybody that expressed any type of Afrocentricity or Black consciousness was always paid as either a con man or a buffoon, bubble butt, and the lowbrow. And it's fine. I don't mind escapism, just something to sit down and just allow your brain to stew. But it's not as though the original one was not something that I think that legacy of it is really something we lost or losing as a result of this rebranding. That's all. But that's me. That's my taste, I suppose.
But I think Diallo,
but I'm sorry, I said bubble butt.
I think it's your your that lecture or broadcast I told you about that I enjoy, your Black love. I think it goes against that, right? So like a lot of people would disagree and argue against your Black love is not revolutionary. And I think when they think of a Black woman making the family stick together, it's their version of like, oh, they was revolutionary. They kept together But I don't think it meant actual real radical or anything. It's just more so of like, we get to see the black man and the black woman together, and black love is revolutionary.
Whatever that do for you.
Yeah, that was wild. So yeah, that's the dollar amount. So James, I think now you can go back and watch, but I'm pretty sure it says 4 Bitcoin. So that times 4 is what he had for one cab drive. That would have been some wild ass shit. You know,
but again, remember the line of script that I'm focused on is he says, I can't pay my bills with this. What am I going to pay with this?
Yeah.
So, and it's true. He could not just take that Bitcoin and pay his heat bill or whatever. He would have had to sell it to the next sucker and do it quickly before the next crash, and then take that US dollar.
Yeah, that's it. All the way up.
And then take the US dollar that he sold it for, not the Bitcoin, and use that US dollar that they're saying Bitcoin is going to replace to actually pay the bill that he wants to pay. So that's what I'm trying. Yeah, but I hear you.
Jared, did you see when they was betting on who would get the highest score, and they said whoever loses has to pick the roaches out of the cereal?
Yeah.
So it was a whole lot of. Do you think Steph Curry had some creative approach to it, or he's just a marketing guy?
I haven't read a thing, but that's my assumption. My assumption is they went to his team and said, can we put his face and name on this? And they said, how much? They worked it out, and he said yes. And then they said to him, this is going to be a rebrand of a classic TV show that your father used to love. And he said yes. And I don't know. But do I really know? No, I don't know. Yeah, I hope not. I hope not. I would like to think that he is just a blind.
I mean,
tricked.
They got the Thelma, the old Thelma. They got her to blind trickly put her voice in. So I guess they might have some skills. So yeah, I did meet her. And unfortunately, how I met her is through a sister in DC. I can't remember her name, who was helping Dr. Queen Akua organize some type of group to do something in Ghana. And Dr. Arakana was like having some celebrities coming, and pretty much they was ready to go build a Wakanda city in Ghana. And after I heard her talk, and she sometimes talks strong about Pan-Africanism, whatever, but through that, I hear and feel Black capitalism, some spiritual mysticism type stuff. And so, yeah, I was hella disappointed in.
And my bad, who are we talking about?
Her name is Dr. Arakana Shambo or something like that. She's I don't even know her title. I know she was a medical doctor for a while in DC, but she was like an ambassador for Ghana. And again, I saw her through, virtual. Her, Julius Malegma, and PLO Lumumba were just 3 people that I kind of was following. I wanted to meet. I still haven't met anybody at in Maligma's camp, but the 2 of them I did meet, and both of them. And then in terms of Lumumba, again, he is like a good speaker, but once I heard him speak in person and then talk to him, it was just kind of like he's just a good speaker. Like I don't see some real like intent. Like his idea around, he had no really rhetoric around like struggle or any type of like revolutionary rhetoric. It's more so of like anybody can talk about colonialism, which both of them can do anytime. But I think their conclusions don't really conclude for me. So that's why I was disappointed. But I don't think there's any other comments to highlight, but any idea where y'all want to go next? So we finished Good Times, Reboot.
I just want to reiterate, we're about 400 short in the live of making our announcement. So I'm really wanting to make the announcement.
Y'all better invite y'all cousins, your grandmama them. Tell your grandma log on her own phone.
Geechee said we're not allowed to say anything until we get 1,000 people in the live and set a new record. That's deep.
Yeah, or we might get to the end, right? Right, we get to the end.
Because
yeah,
I really want to. But okay, I follow instructions.
So where y'all want to go? Y'all want to go to some Black Love, OJ, Bill Strickland, Community, own mixed use project? What you feel like, Diallo? You on mute. I know you was crying about OJ and shit. Or Trump Black Love.
Yeah,
Luddite for life.
We should pull up the EYL WhatsApp chat and show people what Diallo's thoughts were on the passing of OJ.
Diallo was crying.
We shouldn't be on the air today. We should take a day off to mourn, but y'all like picking cotton at night. I got us a day off. Every black person should take a day off if you were alive. Oh,
tell us about your greatest memories of OJ, Diallo. Oh, the orange juice. I'm
not a fan of ball chasing, so OJ. I know him more from those. My best memory of was them movies, them spoof movies, Airplane.
Yeah.
So for those that don't know, OJ Simpson. I want to ask y'all this, but he's died at 76. He was struggling with cancer for quite a while.
And lied about it. Good old.
Diallo. I don't know. I did watch the little Twitter joint where he wasn't technically lying about it. He was saying that I don't think he lied about it. I think because somebody was asking a question. He was saying a couple different things at once. He didn't say like he beat it. I think he was talking about the sickness. The sickness. He started smoking weed and it helped him get rid of that morning sickness thing.
He promised Cam and Mace, because I told a couple text chat groups I'm in, I said that Cam and Mace's NFL analyst has passed away, and he had promised to them that he was coming back and recovering. So I suggested that maybe he got away with another lie.
Here we go.
Yeah, so I remember they were asking him. There were rumors about him going into hospice, and he was like, "Oh no, strong as ever. I'm about to sign up for the 2025 draft."
He said, "I'm about to have a party. I'm about to have a party right now. Super Bowl party.
If the death don't fit, you must have quit.
If the tumor don't fit, now that's stop now. Come on now.
All right, that's
y'all. Come on, y'all. Listen. Right. So tell me this. So when you think about, there's a title of an article that says OJ Simpson, former football star acquitted of murder, dies at 76. What's being said in there? Jared kind of hinted that he think he did it too, but like,
who said Jared didn't say he did it?
Yeah, he just said he got away with a couple lies.
Oh, I thought you meant the other thing.
I suggested he may have. I mean,
brother. No, hey, you got to get back on code, brother.
We about to lose all
Black
our
community made an agreement 2 decades ago.
He was acquitted,
and it didn't.
And therefore,
he's innocent.
Thank you.
So, as Cam and Mace said,
Cam
and Mace made clear that when people gave them grief for having him as their NFL analyst, they said, "Hey, he was acquitted." And white folks have been telling us for centuries that if there's an acquittal,
you know what,
like, you got to let it go.
Now,
I just want to say very quickly, I saw somebody I saw this, that all jokes aside, I understand. Look, prostate is serious. We've talked about it on here. I've been, some have said oversharing, and my willingness to encourage people to get it checked, particularly black men. And again, I wanted to point out that those of us so-called mixed, the doctors have made it clear there's a one-drop rule in medical science. If you are mixed, thinking you're going to lean into your white genes to get that extra health. It don't work like that, according to the medical community that I've been talking to. They're like, you're on the black spectrum, act accordingly. So I just want to remind it. So I'm not, all jokes aside, I am encouraging that people take that seriously.
So let's real quick though, let's not suffer from ageisms, because I know when the trial was going on, I was in 3rd grade, I think, right? So there's a good chance that.
Oh wow, damn! Are we that? Am I that much older than you?
I think, or 4. I don't know. I'm 40. I think
in the mid 90s.
I was in middle school. I think I can't remember. I know I was.
I know exactly where I was. I was watching Hakeem Olajuwon versus Patrick Ewing when they cut the game and they're in the NBA Finals to say OJ's riding, he's escaping in a Bronco.
That Bronco ride was tight,
was with my ex and her friends at the time, and one of her friends said, "Oh, wait a minute, I was friends with what's her name, and we went shopping in that Bronco." And I was the one in the room saying, "I don't give a damn, put the game back on." I literally could not have cared less. I was like, put the game back on. It's Hakeem Olajuwon versus Patrick Ewing.
So let's give a fast,
all right, anyway.
A fast forward. So OJ Simpson played at USC, University of Southern Cal, star football player, was drafted, went to the Buffalo Bills, where he played for my college coach, Lou Saban. And he had a top tier career, and then, married this woman. But starting in 1989, he actually hit her and threatened to kill her, and he pleaded no contest to the charges, and he was sentenced to probation, counseling, community service. But later on, when Kim and Fred Goldman, they released a statement of reading of Ron's Kim, what's her name? Not Kim Goldman, but what's the wife name?
Simpson.
Oh, yeah, Simpson. So basically they was at a restaurant and they was eating, and then she went home, and then because they go to the restaurant often, the Goldman guy brought something home that her mother left behind, and
sunglasses,
right? So that's kind of how
Nicole Brown, right? Nicole Brown Simpson, right? Yes.
And so
Nicole Brown.
After that, the murders happened, and OJ got acquitted with Johnny Cochran by his side, but then later on he was found liable, and so they was fighting for him to pay some charges because he's actually was about to write a book, but then the Goldman took over the book. I didn't actually know that they took over the book.
If I did it,
yeah. But then they changed the name of it though. The Goldman's.
Honestly, I don't remember, because the argument was if he makes any money from it, they're going to take it,
right?
Because he did lose the civil suit and owed a good amount of money.
Yeah, and so that's kind of like a quick snapshot of OJ Simpson and where he come from. And then lately he was on It Is What It Is podcast. It seems like Cam and Mace are hiring a bunch of like people that the media industry threw away. So Maurice Claret is on there. You had OJ, and it's interesting. But the Kim and Ron Goldman, Fred Goldman, they released a statement saying that the news of Ron's killer passing always is a mixed bag of complicated emotions and reminds us that the journey through grief is not linear. For 3 decades, we tirelessly pursued justice for Ron and Nicole, and despite his civil judgment and his confession, if I did it, the hope for true accountability has ended. So the state won't be able to punish him like they will, but they, made their little statements. But Diallo, I know you was joking in terms of
But just quickly, when he got convicted and sentenced for the Las Vegas
theft,
I think the theft of his property, and then he was accused of kidnap, I think was part of the charges, because once a gun is pulled in a room and you tell somebody they can't leave, it's kidnap. I think that was part of it. But the judge clearly, I forgot the number, she associated the length of time and the years she gave to what would have been appropriate for the original killing of the two people, of Goldman and Brown. So there was, all respect to the Goldmans, I'm not saying they got what they were looking for in terms of the states giving justice, but there was an attempt by a state official to add to that final sentence something off of that original charge. And I do want to say, I changed the background here because we're going to as a family start watching it again tonight. OJ Made in America is, I do want to encourage people, if I've ever encouraged anybody to deal with commercial media, this is it. This is one of the best, if not the best series I've ever seen in terms of a contemporary commercial media product that explains the intersection of race, class, and media, and you get it. And I think it's a remarkable series, and it talks about OJ's early rise, the context of the community. What's that right there? What is that?
Somebody saying
AI art, some shitty AI art.
R.I.P.
Oh,
our
wow.
Black King.
Yeah, see, that's now, and I remember being at the Million Man March and people were talking about free OJ and all this other kind of stuff.
I'm gonna delete everybody who says shit like that.
Yeah, but what I do want to say is that this series, it's not to justify OJ or suggest he's a hero. It's for me,
Black man.
It's a condemnation of the society that would both produce an OJ and the various societal responses. And if you did not know, if you were not there, or if you were there and weren't paying enough attention like me, this series is fantastic. So I would encourage people to check it out. Okay, go
ahead. I think OJ is what I have come to call the living embodiment syndrome. When you see Black men in particular engage in behaviors that have been all but exclusively white behaviors, the Black men become the living embodiment of that thing that is predominantly done by the oppressors. Because, white folks love to do that shit. Like OJ was the first man to beat a case with overwhelming evidence. Michael Jackson became the living embodiment of child predation and beating that case. R. Kelly became the living embodiment. It's like this, Jussie Smollett became the living embodiment of Trump making false racial claims about a racial attack. So it's just, that's one thing that I kind of take away, that this living embodiment syndrome, that the dominant culture, whenever they can find a Black figure what's his name? Bill Cosby became the living embodiment of the predation in Hollywood, and someone using their fame and status in the entertainment industry to prey on women and prospective starlets. And I'm not saying that any of these men are innocent, but the way the media pay it, like OJ literally became a verb. And it's not, you don't get, when someone says, oh, you got OJ'd or you got Cosby, as opposed to you got Weinstein. So this living embodiment syndrome is another thing in terms of representation, when the oppressor controls the narrative and dominates not just the media, but in turn, their dominance of the media is so at forefront or at the fore within our own consciousness, and directs our attention and directs our conclusions or viewpoints. So this living embodiment syndrome, I think that OJ was probably what I got most out of his life.
The only OJ I know is quarter brick, half brick, whole brick. Hey, that's the
ain't he OJ in trouble though? OJ the Juice Man in trouble too.
Damn, Juice.
He on charges. I know he innocent.
What the hell Juice done did?
OJ the Juice Man in trouble too. Yeah, I just hope.
Damn, Juice.
So yeah, he behind bars. So you ain't all your OJs.
All my OJs.
I know you and OJ go way back.
No, we don't go way back. Me and Lou Saban go way back.
You name drop OJ on this man.
Come on. You name drop him for me. I name drop Lou Saban.
Arrested in Metro Atlanta, drug trafficking charges.
Damn, OJ, the Juice Man.
Ago.
No, so Johnny Cochran. This series goes into the history of Johnny Cochran that I know I did not know before seeing the series. Johnny Cochran, I think, had a remarkable career. One worthy. He was
Geronimo Jajaga Pratt's lawyer, instrumental in getting Geronimo out.
But that part I knew. I'm talking about before that. I'm talking about his early start and the being. They show him in his first trial where he was not even allowed as a Black man to actually be the lawyer of record and had to speak his lawyering through a white lawyer to win a case demonstrating police brutality. So Cochran has, I mean, you know, again, well beyond what he's most known for at this point. To your point about Jijaga, to the point I'm making about his early career, I think he deserves a lot more attention than he's gotten. Yeah, but
did him and Alton Maddox,
Pratt's nephew on 53rd Street, Hyde Park. Yeah, his sister's son. He just invited me to something that if he don't send me the link to, I'm gonna forget. But yeah, he's a capoeira instructor here on the South Side,
Angola.
So you ain't the only one to know people, Jeezy.
Jesus. God damn.
Jesus.
Go ahead and pray to me if you want. Matter of fact, since you just called me Jesus,
you ain't the only one who know people. I know people.
Since you just called me Jesus, I think we should let the announcement go so people can pay homage.
You really?
Oh, dang! You starting
really?
early?
I mean, listen.
Yeah, we can cut into it and make the announcement known.
You gave up power over the comments.
Bruh, no, we're gonna take a pause on the comments. Since you called me,
casually took it back like you didn't renounce and resign from your role.
Since you called me Jesus, is only right that I be Jesus.
It could never happen.
We got some comments related to this story first before we move on to the announcement. There were a couple.
Free OJ the Juice Man.
I heard OJ
Diallo's favorite remixer, got his crew. I heard OJ also beat his previous partner as well. Give me some Jim Brown vibes for sure. No, absolutely. And this series goes into that. This series, like OJ was a mess in many, many ways. And that was one of them. He absolutely was alleged and accused. And I don't know that there were any convictions per se, but the series paints a picture where he was desirous of being overly friendly to whites and willing to be overly violent with women and ultimately even white women. So white men seem to.
As he was chasing balls, y'all managed to overlook all that.
Who is y'all?
The ball chaser.
But Camden actually said that. That's why they brought him on the show, because he let niggas know they ain't shit. So I think.
I just always
y'all be giving these ball chasers mad leeway. I mean, Jesus.
I just have this weird negative association with watching one of his last games at my father's house, and it was like the end of OJ's career. It was not the visit I was looking for. So it was like OJ. I think he was playing with he played with San Francisco at the end of his career. I think he was playing.
Oh, with them. I didn't even know I ain't watch. I mean, I don't remember none of his league.
Yeah, I was a little kid, but I caught the end of his career. But he was always a star. And to Diallo's point, I mean, he became maybe even a bigger star after his football
running through the airport. Wasn't he selling stamps tonight?
He wasn't no Bo Jackson though.
Hertz commercial. And when this series breaks down, including interviewing the director of that commercial, that is one of my favorite parts of the series, because it becomes, and I used to use it in my communications classes all the time, because it becomes very clear about what this society is looking for in terms of Black representation that appeases a white politic aesthetic need. It is, so yeah, they go into all of that. They break down and they talk about how, particularly if folks of a certain generation remember the old white woman we see saying, "Go OJ, go," like she's put in there in particular, they say, to make white people feel comfortable about seeing this strong Black man running through an airport, which would usually cause them terror. So they got to be sure to have the white, I mean, so they're very, I think it's a brilliant. Yeah, but yeah.
Airports weren't that strongly associated in the United States.
Oh, right, exactly. Puns and all of that.
You'll get ahead of your time.
Exactly. Yeah,
exactly. So every generation had their Bo Jackson, I guess. So you had the Jim Browns, Walter Paytons, Bo Jackson, Emmitt Smith.
But you got to watch how they talk about OJ, because they make the point. They're making the point that they're saying we have always been looking for this, but OJ, the director of that commercial, says he was African but with European features. He actually calls OJ an African, but says with European features. So he gets all, like, you can see, you can hear Cress Welsing in your ears saying, I told you, motherfucker. Like, you can hear, like, it's such a perfect, that part, I think, might be my favorite part. I mean, because the way they're talking about him and his tone and his features and what they made him feel. Or I mean, what he made them feel about themselves is what I was trying to say.
Wait. Is this Air Doctor too? Or did dude look like Air Doctor?
Damn, Geechee.
I don't know.
He did.
Bro,
but anyway,
being under financial assault for 3 decades is wild, though.
Because
I mean, getting away with slaughtering 2 people in front of their house is wild, though.
Jared, you off code. Come on, man. The black community asks so little of each other.
The rest of these chats are on code, Diallo. So you'll be all right.
Code, Jared.
Because Air Doctor came back on code. Black man.
See, but I want to be.
We mad.
So, but that's my point, and I don't want to be misunderstood here because I am not an advocate of any of this. But politically speaking, when I know this upsets people, but one of the reasons why I like Frank Wilderson's work so much is because he describes a scene in Incognito where he's talking with some in South Africa during the anti-apartheid struggle, talking about meeting some revolutionaries. They go through some wild stuff and they're having this conversation. And the long story short was one of the arguments made was, rather than Mandela be freed, it would be better for the struggle were he to remain a prisoner and become and I'm not doing it justice, but the point was it would be better for the struggle were he to remain a prisoner than be free, because it's in freedom he will become a misrepresentation of a false freedom, something to that effect. I see this OJ case in much the same way, in the sense that OJ, my point about feeling like the evidence points to his having committed the crime is, to me, makes the political argument more powerful. If he is guilty of committing the crime and was still able, given his particular place and time as a particularly racialized black man of a particular class, of a particular symbolic importance, of a particular financial importance, of a particular aesthetic importance to the colony, that makes the example more powerful than if he was another railroaded, innocent, truly innocent black man. So that's part of at least how I admit I'm approaching this and have always approached it. And then when you see the series, it supports, for me, it validates my approach to the so.
Can I also think OJ don't get enough credit for? I think white folks owe OJ Simpson a great debt, because, I wrote an essay years ago called "How White Folks Riot," and after the murders and during the trials and the way that it was perceived that OJ was being treated with kid gloves, even before the trial and the slow chase and all that. Remember, just a couple of months after the murders, they had the Republican Revolution, where the Republicans had gained. This is where we got Newt Gingrich and all these characters. I know Republicans keep spitting out villains so fast we can't keep up, but it was a time where Newt Gingrich was kind of the Trump, like the top Republican, ultra conservative, right wing, lock them up, throw away the key, cut all social programs and deregulate and abolish any taxes, especially taxes that go to social programs. That happened. The Republican revolutions, white folks rioted in the ballot box. And I don't think that it was all happening during the same time, and Bill Clinton was in office, but the Congress was running shit, and just with the help of Bill Clinton, actually, where the Republicans took over. So the Republican Revolution, I think, was fomented, and OJ was the foundation that the 94 OJ murders was the springboard for the 94 Republican Revolution, ultra neoconservatism, that we're still dealing with those policies to this day. And still suffering from those policies to this day. And I think that a lot of white folks know in their own minds. Not saying that it's accurate, but in their own minds, whenever they get mad, they run into the polls and vote. At black folks, they run and vote Republicans instead of the tax and spend welfare Democrats.
No, that's right. And by the way, this series makes the point that I think it even gets backed up a little bit before that, because I agree to a large extent with what you're saying, but I think they're saying we saw what happened here. Rodney King got beaten on camera. Black people went crazy.
Went sane.
Again, to your point, I'm talking from their perspective.
Right.
Black people went crazy and then freed OJ after he not only killed Ron Goldman, but one of the blonde, rich white girls we gave him, that we ended up allowing him to take. He went and killed her, hacked her up, and got acquitted by the same black folks who were paying us back for freeing the white cops that beat Rodney King. And they said, "Oh, hell no." And I think that was also part of what drove them to say, we will create yet another villain right on schedule to work in league with the lesser villain of Clinton, and create the world, or prepare for the world that we're living in now. But yeah, and I think again, this series does a great job of contextualizing the OJ case, which is part of my argument around what happened with Rodney King, and reminding people of that incident, which I think is really important, especially today, for maybe some younger folks who are coming into anti-police violent protests and activism, to be reminded of the actual context. I think this, again, does a great job of reminding of the context of that moment.
But Jared, you know about celebrity worship, so why would you want to even talk about the celebrity? Like, what's the purpose?
Again, I think I'm explaining it. To me, it's much like this series. And I used to show this in my class and remind people, it says OJ Made in America, but it's the second part of that title that's the important. This is not about OJ.
But
this is not about OJ. This is about the world that created OJ and created the response and continues to create the response to OJ. That I think, and I haven't heard any celebrity worship from this panel this morning. If anything, it's been.
But celebrity worship being a problem, do they think not talking about celebrities is the solution?
I always find that I find that interesting, and I already unhighlighted them, but the name suggests that something about in the South chilling. But I think people like silos, and so if majority of the people are celebrity worship, whether you're organizer or you're in the PE or whatever, like what you're supposed to do, just sit in the corner and talk with the people that you know, or like at some point you're gonna have to be able to like speak people's language or engage with them in some type of way, or even help them highlight contradictions. But I do know people prefer silos more than engaging where people at. So maybe that. Just chill out. MJ, who highlighted this?
I did, because I also felt a kind of way with Diallo listing him in that list, that rogues gallery.
I said he's the living embodiment of child predation.
I know. I'm just saying.
Hey, listen.
But
hey, I saw that documentary, Life with Michael.
And I saw the one.
And I don't go off of nothing but what Michael Jackson said out his own mouth. But y'all run with that.
I saw the one that breaks down the evidence in Leaving Neverland.
What the man said out his own mouth.
And what are you saying he said?
In his own house. But hey, what are
you saying he said in his own house?
I'll talk about Muhammad and Jesus Christ before I mess with y'all Michael Jackson. So
to me, I'm agreeing with
I can't slouch any further in my chair.
If anything, I'm agreeing with what you're saying. He became the embodiment of something that he wasn't doing, in part because of his
the innocence or guilt of any embodiment is not relevant. It's the innocent or guilt of the embodiment
I know, but I'm talking about what you're saying now, not your argument around embodiment. That's why I just finished saying I agreed with your point about embodiment. But what you're suggesting now is that you actually believe he did it. So that's why that's what I'm
it ain't about what I believe. I'm only going off of what I know. And I heard the man say some things that I just can't.
And I asked you, what is it that he said? What is it?
Sleeping in the bed with children is the greatest joy or some shit. And what he confessed to doing in Wonderland. And I know goddamn well I can't sing. I can dance pretty okay, but I can't sing for shit. And if I went in my backyard and started painting everything, and I don't have a backyard in this gritty city, I'm on some good time shit. But if I had a backyard and I started putting up sugar plums and candy giraffes and just making it a Neverland to attract children who ain't even related to me, people would.
That's not why he did it. Wow, yeah, that's really
y'all
interesting.
Can say why he did it or why he didn't do it.
I mean,
I'm just saying, y'all give these people passes that would never get. So. But
I'm not giving him a wow. That's so deep. How is wait a minute. How is investigating and doing research to the extent that watching a documentary and reading a few articles is research? How is that giving someone a pass? What I'm saying is, that's not
Diallo pulling a Dr. Mayat right now. He pulling a Dr. Mayat.
I'm very critical of his behavior, but I'm putting it in a context that is not being accounted for. And part of it is your embodiment argument. Okay. So that's why I think it's really wild. That's how you're. This is
separate from the embodiment argument.
Let's finish the Q&A because we got to leave OJ to go to MJ. Let's stay on the OJ, not MJ.
Those behaviors. I don't care if you can famous and can sing and dance or not. I'm a side-eye. Any adult man, I don't give a shit where I didn't have a childhood.
But his celebrity is what made the parents of those kids bring their kids to him. That's part of the whole thing. There's a whole context here that's being ignored.
Bring your kids to me and see what happened. They get drop-kicked out the door.
But they wouldn't because you're not Michael Jackson. He had to
open his door. If I came to Michael Jackson's house, security would drag me off. What do you mean?
No, of course.
What that got to do with it? That's a weird...
You not being Michael Jackson and him being Michael Jackson has everything to do with why he behaved that way and why people were willing to bring their kids to him. So to say that should have nothing to do with how we understand what happened is absurd. It has everything to do. It's the whole point. It's the whole fiction of what celebrity is meant to mean. The people have, that's all. So all I'm saying is the evidence around him actually abusing and molesting children does not exist according to what I've looked at. The weirdness is all there, but it has more to do, as I'm trying to say about OJ, with the fallacy of celebrity and what the society claims to be than it does with what he actually did or didn't do. That's all I'm trying to say. You got me over here with the defenders of Michael.
Let's finish OJ before we go to MJ. Let's finish OJ. So
we're not going. I mean, there's no more MJ. That's it.
So Diallo does surprise me sometimes of the stuff that he know from these young people shit. So he be
OJ the Juice Man is an old ass rapper. What are you talking about?
I mean, that's still young boy rap though. How
old is OJ the Juice Man? He's in his 40s.
Slow down. Y'all joke on me all the time when I don't know y'all old ass rappers. OJ is my old ass rapper, not your generation. That's mine.
He in his 40s. Right?
I'm in my 40s too. You ain't in your 40s.
Then that ain't teeny bopper. Teeny bopper is literally teenager.
I'm just saying you be knowing some young people shit. Like you even know the what's the something, the Booty Hole Brown song. You know that song, Diallo. You already sung the song last time. Yeah.
Listen to me. OJ the Juice Man and Gucci Mane while I was still in the club. You know, I wasn't on the dance floor per se.
You wasn't in no damn club with no OJ the Juice Man.
Changed to buy some drinks.
You wasn't in no club with
still in the club.
Okay, let me see. I'm gonna test you right now. What song they play when they want the club to end and send people home? You ain't been in the club.
I said I'm not currently in the club. I said I was in the club when OJ the Juice Man and Gucci Mane.
That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Putting out new music. I was that was still my era.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. And during that era,
question though, what are the go home from the club songs from each era? I don't know if I remember mine. That's
C Murder Fuck them other niggas because I'm down for my that ends the party. The party is over. Everybody got to go home because they're gonna be a fuck. No, when OJ the Juice Man was out, C Murder was still
shutting down the club. I don't open or
you wasn't shut down because they were sending you out. You probably was already home by then.
I'm here today because of the I have a very special set of skills.
It's either that or
how to navigate the hood.
Yo Gotti F you.
Shut down the club in the hood. You must have been at talk about teeny boppers. You was at Club USA. You was at a country club. Who the hell stayed to close down the club? Them cats in the parking lot.
Diallo, you ain't heard what I say. Close on the club.
I never opened the club. I never shut that shit down. I was there before the hood got there, and I left before the hood got there. I knew how to navigate the hood, man.
Shout out to Latif. What up for the $2 and exposing
I
these.
ain't on the payroll of the club. I ain't closing shit down unless I'm on the payroll. When I worked at Wendy's, I closed
Diallo,
that shit down.
slow down. I'm talking about the DJ. The DJ plays a certain type of music to make the crowd shift.
I never closed down nobody. Well, I would close down the reggae clubs. But I didn't close down no hip hop club. They playing rap. They playing golden
from 9 to 10.
Yeah, the curfew.
Exactly.
He snuck out at 9. They got to be back by 10.
Didn't have to sneak out.
She jumped in there, was like,
dance real quick. When I'd leave. It was still a line at the door. When I'd leave, people still be trying to get in.
Diallo had to leave early to go to church. His ass could be in the club too long.
No, wasn't church. But I'm just saying, if you were shutting down clubs, Geechee, you more gangster than I gave you credit for.
I mean, I used to DJ at clubs, Diallo. I told you that too. I used to DJ. So anyway,
I don't remember that part.
I told you I DJ. I worked at 102 Jams in Greensboro, and I DJ'd there, and I DJ'd when I first went to Kentucky. I was DJing too.
What's your DJ name?
I can't tell you, man. Y'all gonna laugh.
You damn right.
Regardless, it's over. Don't even try. Just whatever shredded dignity you think you got, just put it on the table, man.
I didn't name myself. They named me, and I kept it.
That's how you get a name. That's real. That's
stop laughing, though, man. Stop laughing.
That's very street of you. That's very authentic. You didn't name yourself. I respect that.
And the G and the Trey 4 and Greensboro and the Triad.
Get the name? Are we
I'm
really
telling
not
you.
going to get the name?
I'm telling you.
Oh, my
in
bad.
the Triad area, Greensboro, North Carolina, High Point, North Carolina, these areas, I was known as Snipes, Young Snipes.
Oh, there ain't nothing to be ashamed of.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, it was because when I was younger, I actually no. The plot twist when I was younger, so as I got older, people say I look like Don Cheadle, but before that, I looked like Wesley Snipes.
Oh, okay.
But it was funny because even when I went to a military ball with my girlfriend at the time, and because Wesley Snipes is actually from South Carolina too, and his dad was at the ball, and this lady said, "I got to introduce you to him." And she said, "Look at this guy."
Turned him on to sovereign citizenship. You the one that told him to stop paying his taxes.
This guy don't never let me finish any damn story. God,
I'm just saying, you like the Black Forrest Gump.
I'm just saying,
you was right there.
But anyway, at the military ball when I was younger, I was at the military ball with my girlfriend. I'm gonna try to talk over Diallo, no matter he keeps going. And the lady was like, "I gotta introduce you to his dad," and she introduced me to Wesley Snipes' dad. And his dad looked at me and was like, "Who your daddy is again?"
Yeah, right.
Because he thought I looked
somebody
like
a check.
I
might owe somebody a check.
Did you give him his Gullah Nation driver's license?
No, we don't do stuff like that. Chill out. We ain't with y'all. We ain't with them people. Anyway, what was this Red Double Cross for Blood by Reed? Okay, who's this? Y'all read that? Double Cross for Blood by Henry S. Johnson. Don't know that. Okay, let's finish up these chats so we can get to our next segment. We done, Diallo done derail us. But I ain't gonna lie, this dude do look like a young Air Doctor. That's why I thought that. But my bad, man. Like all light skinned people don't look like that. Jared don't look like that.
On this show, Geechee, stop bringing the show down.
Talk about people. What you talking about?
We don't talk about people's appearances and make fun of people.
That's not making fun.
This show.
See, now you making fun because I ain't never. You know what? Anyway, celebrities are vehicles to have larger discussion. It's not just about them. I hope people would know that by now, but maybe not. maybe it's a little struggle for people to understand that. Shout out to ZZ for the 10s, LA riots, the cops that got away for the beating of Rodney King, Dr. Ball, Vernon Philosophy in return. They give us a free OJ, a ninja that's not us, the start of the free whoever movement as I know it. Okay.
No, there was free Huey. I
True.
think it was the corruption of the free movement, because now y'all say free everybody. They out here free. What's that boy's name? Now I'm afraid to name people that are in the mainstream media. Free Young Thug.
EYL.
Free used to be free Huey, free George Jackson, and it went to free OJ, and now we all the way down to free Young Thug.
Mr. Faulty. Thanks for the $5, $4.99.
Thank you very much.
Oh, this was the other club closed, the Nuck If You Buck. You know them?
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know who they
are? That's why I didn't close down no club. You want to send people out liquored up into the streets?
No, give you
on that energy. See, when I was young, they used to put on the slow jams and turn on the lights.
Okay,
that's what they used to do. They used to put on slow R&B music.
Some parties
and turn on the lights, and they didn't make everybody all leave at once. You could kind of saunter out, but that was the cue that shit was about to shut down. You turn on the lights and you put on the slow jams. You play and then you're gonna walk out into that parking lot? I think not.
When Crime Mob came to North Carolina, they tried to set me up because they was all teenagers. I'm telling you, this is a story. They was all teenagers. And they was trying to get people to buy them some alcohol, and then nobody would do it for them. And they say Snipes. So I said, nope. Not at all.
Somebody came up to you and say, let's nuck. And you was like, I will nuck, but only after you buck. And thus history is made. Black Forrest Gump strikes again.
Jared, was that a flat joke or did that pass? Because it kind of was flat. I think it was
I'll
flat.
try again.
Don't try again.
I won't stop.
AJ Johnson for the $9. Appreciate you, brother.
Now.
It was a good try though, Diallo. I appreciate your effort, man.
I do my best, man. What do you want?
So since you got jokes, let's get here. Let's get how you got canned and you got squash and they just gave you the work.
I can only do war with one goddess at a time. I can't go head up with two goddesses. I'm not a young man anymore. So I
didn't even see the clip, man.
You did one goddess at a time.
I didn't watch it. I don't know if we're gonna play it. I was hoping we'd play it, but
we could play some of it. They actually talk shit about you too, but you know.
You have to play it back because they so distorted what I said. I don't even know what I said. I don't know what I believe anymore.
Let me get a clip.
Are we playing what they said about me too? Or we just
I mean it was really like because you came on
the whole thing.
We can because they actually made a whole hour video out of a small segment of the Q&A. They didn't cover when we did the Super Soaker dude. They didn't cover anything about that. They had that one question that Brother Chris asked, and then they took half of the answer. They started picking it apart. They skipped over a lot of stuff Diallo said and just started. They did a Diallo. They Diallo.
I will say this: if Dr. Maad or any of her crew see this, I mean, we've technically been Morgan State colleagues for a long time. I would appreciate, like, I'm happy to come on your show. I would appreciate if the invitation came like with actual advance notice with the idea of me being on the show. Mm-hmm. I've gotten a few invitations from her where it's kind of like this last minute thing. Oh, by the way, we've all decided to gather to talk about you. Do you want to join us or something like that? It's not, come on the show. Let's set up a time. Come on the show.
Nice.
So, you know what I mean? Let's have an actual discussion. It's always it's not, stop it. Stop it.
I'm saying if you want Jared Bald, he don't come cheat.
Now, okay. It's about what's the sincere invitation to have an actual discussion as opposed to quickly jump on at the and plus it's often been at like 10 o'clock. The last one was at 10 o'clock at night. I was like, you
should have invited her on.
Show, that's a literal impossibility. But I don't have a problem with her. I don't have a comment about anything she's done or said. Apparently, there's been routine. What I'm saying, it's not problem. I don't have. There's nothing I don't have a comment about or a discussion of her work. She seems to have routine discussions or comments, or not routine, but from time to time comments or discussion of me or my work. And that's why I'm saying, if there's an actual interest in talking to me, we can make it happen. but
You don't want to
it's just
sound sleazy, but you know.
Well,
this
listen,
whole
there were
Diallo
some
spin is
interesting
hilarious.
comments in
Yeah,
there.
you sitting down here putting out your rider for appearances.
My rider. And a sincere invitation. You're right. I want the blue M&Ms too.
You
I
want
want only blue
sincerity,
M&Ms.
right?
Yeah, I only want the blue
Sensitive
M&Ms.
man.
Y'all-
You're a
y'all
modern
continue
man.
about
You just say
When
no.
you picking
So-
out, I don't want you to pick roaches out of the cereal. I want you to pick out all the other M&Ms and just leave me the blue ones.
There was some interesting comments in there. So you had Brother Jabari in the comments talking his fly shit, and
My
then
man Jabari.
you also had some Black Power Media ownership up in there, getting their comments read too, talking
Oh,
kind of.
really?
That's the great thing about Earn Your Liberation. Whenever people want to hate on us,
Are we
they
gonna
say
play
Black Power Media.
Well, I mean,
about that part.
I be trying to play, but you know how you and Diallo,
Everybody
will
else
get
thinks
into this
we do
little
what we do.
spill like what he doing right now, and it's hard to keep moving. But you ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's get it into it.
Peace and love, family. Welcome to another powerful.
I'm gonna skip
discussion
up to
of
some
opinion.
joint.
But
You got to
the
raise the
reason why
volume
I
on it,
want
though.
to get it addressed, or want to address it, is because it's out here in the public domain.
This guy
right?
Unc is
And so with these
hilariously
microphones,
funny
we have to be
and
really careful with
interesting
the
with
things
his
that we say, because people hear you
capacity.
and people, they believe you, they follow you. Miss Tiffany, thank you so much for coming on. Peace and love to you.
Sapiens had to find and deal with food, clothing, and shelter and protection of that before they read any biblical text, before they read any papyruses of none.
Make statements like these types of fields and industries, our community, is better off without them, or to his credit, he did say, we can't make it with steam alone, but the rhetoric was more, you need more liberal.
Right. So that's what I said too. That's what I said too. So listen, at that moment, this sister is the only one who acknowledged that at the beginning, and then she never said it again, and none of them ever even picked up on it, and they just went off into their space tangent. No pun intended.
Like I said, I ain't gonna beef with Maya. I can only beef with one goddess at a time, and I'm still at war with the other goddess.
You don't want no smoke with that goddess.
Well, they
I
spoke with me
don't get it.
Because you got problems.
I'm confused.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I was confused. I was confused. Thank you for the heads up in the chat. They was like, Dr. Mada says save black people. It's supposed to be save black people. So anyway, family, I'm gonna share the clip.
Save black people?
Say, what? I had said say instead of save.
I know. Save black people. What the hell is going on?
Don't you?
That's a Diallo joke.
You better not, Bobby Banger.
2023, boy.
Play that clip.
There they go, boy. Educators too, aren't they? Aren't they actually educators?
I know one of them, Dr. Bald. He teaches in the School of Journalism at Morgan
the top
State.
right there with the light skinned guy.
Yeah, this is the brother
she
right here.
spit your name out her mouth, Dr.
They
Bald.
all off on the pseudo, need more holistic. Like, knock it off.
Here we go.
Like,
wait, what? Hold on, pause.
Steven.
Wait, what? Wait, what?
Appreciate it.
What did he say we on?
Some holistic stuff. Knock
Some
it off.
How would he
Fake,
know that? He
holistic.
didn't even, how would he know that?
No, he watched. I think he said he watched the whole thing. But like, I'm
swear
telling you,
none of them watched this before that. None of them watched it ahead of time. Not based
listen,
on
I'm gonna tell you right now, you can't watch much of Unc stuff, but you can try. But he's an interesting
Just for the
brother, but-
record, also, I'm not in the School of Communication anymore. I'm in technically I'm in the History and Geography department and the Black Studies program in the
Why are
College
you
of
giving-
Liberal Arts.
Why are you giving
No, I
your
think it's
details?
important.
You just said this woman been chasing you all over. And you've been
I
turning
didn't
her
say
down.
that.
And now
I
here
did
you
not
are
say
giving
that.
details.
I
so she
did
can
not
chase
say
you
that.
again. Listen,
I did not
on
say
the
that.
real, on the real.
That's not
So
That's
I've
not
had
what
to
I
turn her
said.
down because she don't come
Stop.
correct. And now you're like, this is where you
That's
can
not what
find
I
me if
said.
you were to look.
Jared,
That's not what
why,
I
That's why we
said.
always get. That's why we get clipped. That's why we get clipped right there because of Diallo. But like yeah, for instance, like y'all definitely are welcome on. At least Dr. Mayat probably welcome on too. Because I would have liked for her to be able to like argue this point, because last time we was on her show, her studying your book, we talked about STEM and being in the arms industry and all stuff like that, and it didn't end well. So it would be good to at some point bring her on if it's necessary.
Welcome,
welcome, AJ. Shout out to the twin. That's the same. I knew that was the same dude that gave it. We appreciate
So
it.
starting with Brother Chris. Brother Chris, I think Diallo, you probably highlighted this. How are STEM studies, robots, and etc. going to help Black folks in the ghetto?
I don't remember who said this. When you don't control your community, everything in your community can be used as a weapon against you.
Oh yeah.
And I've never
Yeah,
been a
correct.
fan of STEM. As someone who has studied, and received a certificate.
Let me pause right here, Unc. He said he never been a fan for STEM, but he's on YouTube. I just want to say he's on YouTube. He's on a computer, right? Or he's on his cell phone.
Right.
He drives a car. He jumps on airplanes. He's using a microphone. He has.
Calmly walk.
You're not a
airports.
fan of STEM. Okay.
I walked down the ramp. I ain't never jumped on an airplane. Arena, and someone who's worked both in the liberal arts or the soft sciences and taken, radium physics and STEM classes and worked in a STEM field. It doesn't fucking matter. It's not going to help the community, because if your ideology isn't.
Question, the reason we were enslaved, right? The Africans were enslaved. It was because the Europeans had superior technology. Wasn't it the gun? Wasn't that a part of it? The technology, didn't that play a role in our enslavement and colonization? Didn't technology play a role in that?
Yeah, it did. As a matter of fact, the technology first of all, they had the technology to make it to where they made it to with the intercontinental ships, right? That's not the mistake that the Egyptians had sailing vessels too, but we talking about oceans, you know what I'm saying? Like the Atlantic Ocean. And second of all, the technology kind of got better, because when they first came in with the muskets, that wasn't better than the spears or the rock thorn. So there are accounts of Europeans coming in with guns and getting beat down because they had to, you shot one time, pow, you reload and you got about 30 spears in you. But their technology actually got better. So yes, it was the technology that actually, at the end of the day, put us at a disadvantage. Absolutely.
Okay, I was just curious. Okay.
Right. It doesn't matter if you have a high level STEM degree or if you're a high school dropout. The ideology is more important. And also, this problem with STEM is that it lacks the component of philosophy, ethics, and history. So with the so-called soft sciences or the liberal arts are extremely important, because you don't want scientists, engineers, mathematicians in this world that have no grasp of history and how history has unfolded. No concept of identity, culture, and more importantly, ethics. The ethics of their field, which have been pretty much purged from steam, and where the reactionary right is out here saying, don't even go to college, and they want to shut down and make college inaccessible and say, well, unless you're going to be a doctor or an engineer, what's the point in going to school? And I've even been when I was in Brooklyn College pre-med program.
I don't want people to think that we're saying just science. No, it needs to be a balance, but what we're saying is that we represent very low in STEM.
There you go.
The statistics are wild. And so I learned a few things the other night, helping a friend do some homework about who actually, what were the first programmers in this country. It was women, We talk about the human calculators and things like that. Right now, women represent like less than 20% of representation in STEM fields, and it's even lower to have PhDs.
They start talking about it get wilder. I'm telling you.
Yeah, man.
No, I'm sorry. I thought I was mute, but I said somebody made Coco mad. But next, yes.
Okay, so that was it, family. So I
he started talking about needing more holistic stores. I'm telling you, what you mean? They get worse.
Oh Lord, I don't even want to. I guess
we need more holistic stores.
They can play the rest of that. I really wanted to show the people this because Diallo claims. I know he claims to be a Garveyite or Pan-Africanism, or he's a Pan-Africanist. Well, look what Garvey said. Okay. So Garvey said this in 1924 in his Look for Me in a Whirlwind speech, roughly around 1924. He said, there is no height to which you cannot climb without the active intelligence of your own mind. He said, mind creates, and as much as we desire in nature, we can have through the creation of our own minds. And he said, and today, being a scientifically weaker race, he said, you shall treat others only as they treat you, but in your homes and everywhere possible, you must teach the higher development of science to your children. Oh, wait a minute, brother Unc. Did Garvey advocate for the teaching of science in the homes? And he also said, and make sure that we have a race of scientists par excellence. He says, and he was religious. He says, for in religion, he said, in science lies our only hope to withstand the evil designs of modern materialism. So I found it odd that these people say, I'm a Pan-Africanist. I follow the teachings of Garvey and all these people. Garvey was saying almost 100 years ago that we are a scientifically weaker race. And he said we need to be cultivating a generation of scientists.
Yeah, presenting anachronisms as if the ancient people understood any of what we're talking about.
Right.
Right. So I like to have African agency.
Why are we being presented this way?
Agency,
Why is
right?
our argument
being
described
qualified
this way?
African agency? That's
Come
my
on.
thing.
Come
See,
on.
they still stuck on, because we black, we need to do it. No, you shouldn't. You should be qualified before you do it.
Facts. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Absolutely.
We need that expertise. You got Kalanji in the chat shouting you out, Bobby Banger.
What's going on?
But his first comment was Peace Fam. The name of that show is EYL. It is a show on Black Power Media. I'm a co-owner of Black Power
God
Media,
damn
but
it.
I don't rock with that.
Snitch.
I'm
He
glad.
snitching.
Wow.
He snitched. Because I was riding off of that like, oh, this is all smoke for Black Power Media. They ain't said EYL once. And here he come telling.
All right, so there's a lot of
all they played of us. Is that it?
that little ass clip, and they went off for an
And
hour.
where's your holistic stores at? Where are y'all holistic stores?
I don't know. I think we were selling some shea butter.
Y'all
And
holding
shit.
out on me. I didn't know we had, but y'all holding out on me. Where the holistic store at? There's some things they know about us that I didn't know.
So Jerry, I think on your clip you came on and you were like, it won't help at all, and then they took that and they went off again on that too. So they took the Diallo little clip and then it won't help at all, and they like,
well, but again, so to the extent that you describe that accurately represents my argument. The problem that I would raise for that is, what is the data that contradicts what I'm presenting as my argument? So on the one hand, as I talk about all the time, just as one example, the bias of communication, Harold Innis's old argument that I think has been borne out by endless amounts of data, that increases in technology do not change social relationships. They exacerbate them. So the idea that advances in technology will change the relationship, or even is one thing. The question, as I've understood Diallo, and I'm certainly making, is not whether we should or should not address ourselves to studying STEAM-related fields. The question is, to what extent does the study and even expertise in those fields translate into a solution to a political problem? And that's always been the contradiction, that we can, and that it goes back to as it's broadly described, the Du Bois versus Booker T argument. It is even the shortcoming in the example of Garvey. What Garvey ran into at the end of the day was a political problem, not a problem of Africans not understanding how to build and create. That has always been part of what African people are capable of. The issue is, what is the political capability in the context of that time? So that's one thing that gets, and then I just was reading and am planning to do at some point, and maybe we could, I don't know, we can talk about it here. I was just reading a new Chronicle of Higher Education article that, and I haven't gotten into all the details of all of its links and claims, but the broad argument is that the idea that is often suggested, where we hear, what are you going to do with that Black Studies degree or that philosophy degree or that liberal arts degree? The point of the article is that data shows that employment rates and inequality exists equally across all disciplines and all fields. So it even addresses this idea that if we get more into, it's not specific to Black people, it's across everybody, saying that the idea that if you get into STEM or STEAM related fields, you're going to have a better chance in this world is not true. So that's why I keep coming back to, and I keep calling it my Frank White argument. It should not matter whether we read books or build the machines that reproduce books. We should get our cut of the wealth that's produced by the exchange that occurs in society. And that to me is a political problem, not an issue of do we or do we not address ourselves to science, or do we, or to what extent are we in those fields?
You need to keep that background. Whatever that background is, you need to come on. That smoky scholar.
What a cigar at? What a cigar or the blunt? Or the joint?
That is, got you spitting like you doing. That's the background. We finally found the right one. Don't change for that, because 100%. Absolutely. That's all I got to say.
So real quick, the arguments normally don't. So the last argument that we had when Asafo was here was Mayat was arguing that Black people getting in STEM will allow them to be entrepreneurs and sell or be in the defense industry, get contracts with Lockheed Martin and Northrop Grumman in those places. And then his question was like, do we really need more Black people in those industries? So if they were to watch the whole clip, I would be interested in how they will respond to what we said about the brother who was building a stealth bomber and all these other things. And that was a pretext of the question at the end, like we do Q&A session. And again, I would assume they would have skipped over that whole point of you not about to build no bombs or no whatever for Black people to fight off the actual enemy. If anything, you're gonna help the people with the capital gain more capital and land.
But I do also just quickly want to say, I'm sorry, Diallo, just very quickly. I just want to say very, very quickly, I really do appreciate, and I want to be clear here, I am very appreciative that Kalanji drew that distinction.
You interrupted me for some.
I just wanted to, because I saw it. I just wanted to be clear. I appreciate that.
This is I give you a shout out. Then you come back.
Go ahead, man. Go ahead, Diallo. Go ahead. Anyway, don't get derailed.
First of all, I think Black people have to be careful of directing through deficits, because that has, in a lot of ways, prevented us from really constructing or conceptualizing true solutions, more sustainable solutions. Directing through deficits is simply concluding that anything the white man has denied us is something we absolutely need. So, there was a time where there were no Black athletes in the no Black baseball players in the world in Major League Baseball, and we got to get us a Black player. And once we get us a Black player, things will turn around. Once Black people get into sports, so directing through deficits simply because white folks have denied us something, or we're not properly represented somewhere. We don't have enough Black CEOs. We ain't got no Black president. Simply because white folks have allowed us access, we should still sit down and rationally evaluate to say, hey, do we need to fill that gap? Or do we need to come up with some other type of direction, priority, focus? First of all, so don't be directed through deficits. Our solution should be independently conceptualized and constructed and organized and executed without being fixated on what white folks is hiding from us or keeping from us. Number one. Number two, we have to be wary of panaceas. That was my only point. Now, I was going to say panacea pimping instead of Luddite for life, but I don't want to, I want to be take the high ground here. So I'm not going to say panacea pimping, but throughout our movements, people are saying, hey, entrepreneurialism, STEM, or just these one. See, put that down. I'm not beefing with no goddesses.
There ain't no beef. Y'all just got different perspectives. You trying to say
God versus EYL. But anyway, all I'm saying is we have to also be wary of panaceas. If we could just get this one thing, if we could just do this one field, or just be properly represented, or elevate or teach our kid this one thing, agriculture, own land, go back to Africa, all own our own businesses and make the dollar bounce 20 times. These panaceas, these pigeonhole solutions, like this one particular thing will be the turning point. Science is the most heavily regulated industry. So even science is directed through politics, policies, and the funding often comes from state and corporate interest. So if you're a scientist or a STEM, because when I said STEM, I'm not talking about that I'm against science, technology, engineering, and math. When you put the context we were talking about STEM is saying having someone's education be primarily or directed strictly within those fields. So STEM in the context of education, I think for all of the hate that it's gotten, I think a liberal arts education, a well-rounded, broad education that includes and doesn't de-emphasize the arts, philosophy, civics. Oh Lord, civics.
Diallo, tell me this. So during their segment, there's a conflation between STEM, science, math, all these other things, arts, technology. And my sister Artemisia, shout out to Artemisia, who's also the person who supported with the new computer and all these other things. She watched it, as I often send her stuff, and she was like, you know, she dismissed them, but then she also says she disagreed with you. And I'm gonna read this a little bit and then want you to respond to it. She said, I disagree with Diallo in this regard. However, I do agree that as a people entering into the frontier of ever-evolving technology, we must have a political education. But to pretend that technology can't be of value is a faulty analysis. However, technology can also be misused to further oppress people, which is why we need to recognize that and be able to understand it. To continue ongoing discussions and around ethics, privacy, bias, and surveillance, which are important to maximize technology's benefits and minimize potential harms for our vulnerable communities, we need to see the massive opportunities as a collective. Overall, a well-intentioned application of evolving tech tools could help amplify the voices of oppressed populations and build new frontiers. Any thoughts or respond to that? I think she would have been a better guest on that show, but go ahead.
I read that. You sent it to me. I'm not sure where she said she disagrees with me. Where is our point of divergence? Where do we disagree?
That's what I would respond to. I don't see the disagreement. But again, I think there was a conflation between what you were saying, and they just took Jared, it won't help at all. And then they took that and added to yours and ran off with it.
And like I said, that's why, Jared would try to inform me that I should be more mindful in how I state shit, more sensitive. But Jared, you are quite mindful and sensitive, and you still get all the hateration. I'm saying STEM is not a panacea. A piece of technology or a technological field or field of science is only as good as the ideology, the priorities, the values, the ethics, the mission, the politics that it serves, that utilize it. I've never discouraged anyone from going into STEM. I just like I never discourage anybody from being an entrepreneur and pursuing your vision and your dream in business. I only caution against saying that marketing, selling, or promoting that as the solution to our problems. STEM alone is inadequate to meet what we need. And also, just like the people that talk about entrepreneurialism, the first thing, or when we need our own schools, when Dr. Umar was talking about building schools out of one side of his mouth and talking about we don't need to vote and disregarding you, whatever field you're in, because I worked as a radiographer for over a decade. I worked in independent schools and I've owned businesses. And one thing you got to do is navigate the bureaucracy. You got to understand the politics. You got to understand marketing and promotion. If you got the best product in the world, if you don't understand the movements of the culture and society, your technology, your invention could be put on the shelf and never seen again. So you got to understand all these things. And if you don't have the capacity or the interest to pursue it yourself, you have to be integrated and interconnected with people who do. You know, you could be the best cook in the world, but that is inadequate to run a successful restaurant. You could be the most brilliant scientific mind in the world, but that is inadequate to liberate our people without the cultural and soft science components, political science, understanding construction and operation of bureaucracies and organizations. All I'm saying is these panaceas, these one-trick ponies, or just putting all your eggs in one basket. It's simple shit we learn in elementary school. Diversity. Right. You got to diversify your bonds.
So one of my responses to her was, I don't think Diallo was ignoring technology. He literally started off with, when you don't control your community, everything in your community can be used against you. And she said she understood that. What she disagreed with is relating and or the comparison to liberal arts. She understands your argument and basis, but just like they did on the show, they struggle with the fact that they thought you highlighted or put liberal arts above.
No, and if somebody came out and said, "Well, we just want an A degree instead of a STEM, we just want the arts. We need to the art." I mean, Du Bois was very big on that. Not that he shunned, but Du Bois was like, well, and even, I mean, Garvey said a lot of stuff over a long period of time. And he even talked about the men of big affairs and arts and culture as well. But we ain't even going to use Garvey to beat each other up over this.
And he was a journalist. He ran a press. And
he was taken down by bureaucrats, not scientists. He was taken down by a petty fucking file clerk who did some dirt with some and moved some numbers and decibels around on a piece of paper. He was not taken down by, Dr. Doom.
And there was the science.
Some evil scientist.
He moved decimals around on a paper, Diallo.
Huh?
Man.
There was the science. He moved decibels around on a piece of paper.
No, that's actually anti-science. The guy actually.
I mean,
well, Diallo.
I do want to say, can I just say one thing before I forget this point? I just want to say, because I know I clearly I'm guilty. I got jokes for days. I'm petty, whatever, all the things that are said. I'll be mindful of this myself. I do think I would like for us to get to or reserve space for higher levels of critique and disagreement. And I would like to say that even after all the jokes, after all the logic in my theory, after all the jokes, I don't recall. I would be disturbed if I could be shown to have misrepresented anyone's argument in the way mine and Diallo's were in this case, in the way I see our arguments collectively misrepresented often. So, okay.
No, I think that's fair. Well, real quick, Diallo.
Black people. I got 3 words. Dr. Ben Carson. That's the end of my argument against STEAM being the solution for Black people.
But so
wait a minute.
Dr. Ben Carson, 3 words.
Now listen, that's called my boy. You know nothing about that.
So Diallo, since you are a professional debater, I've never seen Dr. Mayat back down.
Don't do that again. Don't start that again.
No, I'm just.
Go ahead,
not that debater. Oh, see what you did there.
Because he started grinning, and I'm like, I don't want him to start doing that again, man. Don't do that again.
Listen, don't let this guy start this match.
I'm already in advance.
Anyway. You can debate.
That's not what I call myself.
Mass guy. But anyway,
for free. I do this for the people. I don't get paid like a professional.
I don't want to know what you do for the people.
I cultivate my craft until I reach a level of mastery.
Look what you did. No, but look.
Okay,
she won't turn down from a debate. I've never seen her turn down a debate.
No debate though.
But listen, this is what I'm saying. to honor what Jared just said, maybe we could be misrepresenting. Maybe they could have like false start or whatever. Maybe she has a better argument. But if there's ever opportunity for her to argue real time against your argument, we should probably set that up.
Boys don't eat that.
Why?
Boys don't eat. I don't eat noodles. I'm a grown man.
So y'all can eat noodles together. Chill out. So
That's smoke.
let's get into this Q&A segment. I know there was a lot of joints that seems into 5 get the 5 Black Power Media memberships. Dang. That's what's up, man. Just
Thank
throwing
you,
it
old
out.
dirty.
Going in the club, making it rain.
Looking
EYL to
like
the
Air
curb, a
Doctor.
subsidiary.
Stop, man. Stop.
Like,
Stop. Chill out, man. Be quiet.
The views and opinions expressed on this show do not
Chill out, man. We still listen now.
Ownerships or staff.
This guy ain't got no coof.
Wait,
All right.
You should put that disclaimer.
No, we're not doing that right now, man. We trying to finish this out, this. All right, producer of Nuck, If You Buck, Lil J. Oh, a MAGA Republican, and his cousin is police. Oh wow, a chief from Memphis. Used to be the chief of Durham Police. Wow, that's a lot of history there. Thanks for the $4 though, $4.99. Holistic Stores is because you're always talking about coffee and veganism. One of them. Oh, maybe.
Fair enough.
I like this.
And by the way, remember, part of my argument around my own critique of this approach to STEM comes from Dr. Ma'at and I, our former colleague, Dr. Jelani Favors, and his work on the history of HBCUs, where he has that section where I keep referring to, where he shows that from the perspective of those in power, there was an intentional defunding of liberal arts with the idea that it would de-radicalize politically the Black community. So it's not that it's not a hatred of science. It's in fact the idea that we're being encouraged into fields that are thought by those in power, at least, to walk us away from radical consciousness. So again, that's part of the argument here that I think also got left out. So
can I quote Noam Chomsky? I know y'all be hating on Chomsky.
Well, that's not going to make us look good when we get clipped, but go ahead.
In his book, Understanding Power. And I mean, you don't get more STEM than Chomsky. He was at MIT, wasn't he?
MIT, yeah.
Tenured, a fellow.
MIT.
Emeritus. Doc, he even said all the scientific fields and the scientific academia was the only arena of academia where it was encouraged to be rebellious in terms of going against the status quo and to speak up, because that would lead to scientific advancement, that would lead to profit for multinational corporations. He said in his almost century-long career in academics, closer to a century than it is away, he said that fields such as politics, philosophy, the arts, that there is was a line of repression to subdue any type of radical thinking or to question the canon or to question the experts in that field. And so, according to Noam Chomsky, whatever that's worth to you, Mr. MIT, he's like, the STEM fields are the fields that the elites feel least threatened by and most enthusiastic about supporting and directing people towards. Whereas they see as a threat to the status quo and a threat to people's complacency and passivity rest in called soft sciences.
So in the comments also, there was a lot of, that's why they don't like Black Power Media, because all they do is critique and they never have solutions. So over there, they had a bunch of solutions. But one of the things that I would like to see, in particular, I talked about this before, Dr. CBS book, Black Scare, Red Scare. I would like to see all the Garvey talkers read those passages, read that stuff that she wrote, and then have a better argument about Garvey's impact and what Garvey said. Because, you got called a Garveyite, Diallo. I don't know if you're a Garveyite. I never heard you say that. But
It's a compliment. I take that as a
I
compliment.
mean, of course, but they had to, straighten you out with a Garvey verse, and I just
People
think
always trying to throw at me. Garvey was a Christian. Garvey was a capitalist, and now Garvey was pro science. Like that's supposed to be.
We gotta really examine why Garvey was a threat to the state, though. That's what we should, So I would love for people to read that and struggle around that. Jared, what's the name of the article that talks about? Oh well, who highlighted that? Was you?
I probably highlighted it, and what I was referencing was, it's not an article, it's a book by Harold Innis called "The Bias of Communication," which I've always thought was, but I mean, it's the thread that's in McLuhan's work. It's in the thread that's in the Black approach to it in Armand Town's work. It's in the thread that's in what Huey Newton argued in Revolutionary Suicide, I believe, about technology and it being born of the exploitation of labor and then used to suppress labor. I mean, and it's also just born by the data. I mean, we live in one of the most unequal times in the world, in world history, that where the improvement, the sophisticated evolution of enslavement and exploitation has not only created a situation where there's more wealth being created and accumulated by a tiny few than ever, but it's done with perhaps the least amount of resistance, as also part in part of this as a result of the sophisticated nature of the technology and its media, particular media form. So that's this idea that, and then again, as the comment was suggesting, Garvey's argument was not that we needed more Black people working within military defense. It was not an argument. It was an argument, and even Booker T's argument was an argument that trade should be developed and vocation developed for specific support of the Black community, not so and how that would occur, which is part of the disagreement over time, how that would occur by working for the institutions that we are forced to work for. And then the idea is part of what I know is another part of my at least argument is that there isn't sufficient resources for Black people to develop all the technological capability and business capability to satisfy the needs of the Black community in isolation. My point,
don't read, beloved.
My point is it's a little more complicated than saying Jared said it just won't work, and therefore Black Power media are just haters and don't have any, But again, I appreciate the distinction being made, and
shit happens. So, Diallo, you did that quote, and I thought you was quoting Jacob Carruthers about not control. I thought that's what Jacob Carruthers said, but I do believe that.
I'm sure I'm not saying he didn't say it. I'm just saying where I heard it from. H. Rap Brown said it.
Oh,
there's all kinds of varieties of it. And shout out to Tafari, who is should be shouted out as a co-founder of what would have to be acknowledged as the original Black Power media platform on YouTube. So
absolutely,
there's a Black Power media that pre-exists what we've done here. So shout out to Tafari and
peace, Tafari, good brother.
And I just saw Samori was in Dr. Shockley's series that we talked about with him yesterday.
Wait, Samori from Ghana?
Samori, and I got to admit, at the moment I'm blanking. The brother that worked with Tafari, and now I'm blanking on everybody.
Does Samori teach in Ghana right now?
I'm not sure where he is. I got the impression he was running an African-centered educational project here in the States.
Oh,
but
I know
from the series at least. Man, my apologies, everybody. This is not meant to be. This is just me and my lifelong set of choices.
Hey, listen,
causing me to have bad memory here. So
Diallo know what it feels like to be argued against something he never say. So shout out to the $5. I often disagree with you guys, but they are grossly misrepresented.
Yeah, Samori is in Ghana. Yeah, right on.
Yeah, I know Samori.
Yeah, I know. We all know. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. And shout out to the original Black Power media as well.
Yo, this shit is funny as hell. Still
Jab
get
still
the
gets the
hateration.
hateration and the
Holleration.
holleration and
In
this
this dance
dancery.
Let's get it.
Yes. Peace, Pepe. Yeah. I
That was
mean,
funny.
yeah, you know, that's partially why it's also frustrating, because I know sometimes people claim that they don't want to hear a critique because of the way you said it, when in reality they just don't want the argument. But
Don't listen to how I say, listen to what I say.
yeah, shout
Yeah,
out
the
to
liberal arts education under capitalism and imperialism is just going to serve those systems. Yeah, yeah. And we got two more. Wait, dang it. No, I thought we had two more. Right. Also, so what if you know how to build a bomb? Who's going to fund it? And who you going to bomb? How you going to get it done? Air doctor say, stop with the bullshit and let's give it.
He's producing from wherever he is, always producing. We do have to get to our big announcement, you know, but I was holding out for that 1,000. I was hoping we'd hit the 1,000.
We struggling at 757
right
now.
We've been stuck around.
I'm grateful for 750, man. Y'all,
very
just,
grateful.
Man,
Don't get
no,
it.
no,
You're right.
He said we struggling, man. Listen, shout out.
I said
to
I was
all
hoping. I was hoping.
759 of y'all. I am grateful that y'all here, and if don't nobody else show where a few is gathered in our name, we are among you.
There you go, Jesus.
Talking about you disparaging 760. Y'all.
I ain't disparaging. Listen, no. Time out. Struggle is definitely a positive word. I said if we're struggling with 760, we end the struggle with 760, brother. See, that's what you be doing.
Do it. You got your spin game is crazy. You got the ball on there.
Spin
game is crazy.
You speaking past the rhetoric of the, you know. If I got my kufi on, anyway, let's go.
Quality over quantity.
Thank you, G.
All day with me.
I would like to. I would to highlight Dr. Malefe interview on EYL.
Yeah.
When
he called Diallo Clarence.
No, he said me and Clarence are both race men.
Yeah, he called you Clarence. He said you sound just like Clarence Thomas. That's what he said.
So be it.
Let's go. Diallo versus my debate. Arlene Chambers.
You got 5 on it, man.
Don't get it twisted. I would absolutely watch that.
It would be funny.
I'll admit, Dr. Mayad, I'm easy. I ain't as complex a man as Jared. You ain't got to jump through all them hoops to get
what hoops?
You list all the hoops. You just
there was one hoop.
Talking about all.
Can I get an advance invitation?
Listening to everything.
Diallo, right. I told you last time. You almost made our show.
You're right.
You almost made our show, and I messed it up for you.
I know.
But I mean, no. But she told me. She said
it was Malefe Asante.
She said she wanted to holler at that Diallo brother, and that was the week after you said F everybody who ever did anything with Tariq Nasheed. I was like, you ain't gonna want to talk to Diallo. That's what I said. I wouldn't date. Huh?
She wouldn't do nothing with Tariq.
She already did. She on butt breaking. She on the butt breaking.
Dr. as principal, the balance scales. Dr. Ma'at would never work with a man who said that black women had it easier under slavery than black.
Jared, pull up the flyer. Jared, pull up the flyer.
They could give up some pussy and get the things they need, and men didn't have that option. Dr. Ma'at would never work with such a black man to make such a statement.
Chill out, man. She already did, and she's doing it again.
No, she wouldn't.
They got a flyer.
The goddess.
I just sent you a flyer. They got a flyer. They got an event coming up with Jared Homeboy.
I can make a flyer and put you on there.
All right,
Dr.
go
Shockley. Yesterday, Dr. Shockley
go watch
had a very strong defense for Tariq.
FBA.
So remember, so this is the Greg. This dude, Greg. Remember, he came on the morning show, right? He pause.
Oh yeah,
he was on the morning show.
He's not gonna.
He's not foundational Black American.
And there's Dr. Ma'at. Well, my point in bringing up Dr. Shockley from yesterday is that Kemet Shockley had a very strong defense of Tariq, despite them having their disagreements on Pan-Africanism and African-centered education. So I find it to be a wild contradiction, but he has in his he doesn't see the contradiction. And then I got a couple of messages, people wanting to let me know that Tariq does not have the hostility for Africans that I've literally witnessed. But okay, So maybe
he's got a voter registration drive up there. There's that.
Maybe look, maybe this is another version of what Teray called for in the Black United Front.
Why is he dressed like Donald Trump though? For real. What the fuck is that about?
I would suspect that Tariq is sophisticated enough to know that the red tie is signifying a certain politic. I would, you know, he's got the American flag behind him.
That's a little Trumpian as fuck.
It absolutely does. But Dr. Randy Short has it looks to some African clothing on. Dr. Mott there certainly with a very strong
and razzle dazzle razzle dazzle Islam. He got on the bow tie. Always.
And Greg Dixon had a really sort of scandalous hold on data and statistics, a grasp when he was making the argument that 600 Mexicans are emblematic of the history of Black-brown relationships. But it was wild.
When we talk about buck breaking, we have to understand that buck breaking is a show of power, is a show of dominance. So we can't talk about buck breaking without talking about power.
When we look at the domination of Black people by the dominant society, what we are in essence seeing is that this society wants to ensure that we are not able to actually mete out that thing that makes humans exist. And that is creating families and procreating.
See, psychologically, when we're talking about the sexualizing of our people, primarily from the dominant society of the system of white supremacy, it had to be established in a very impinging way from the mental state.
This whole notion that masculinity is somehow toxic and detrimental to society is nothing but an attempt to emasculate Black malehood.
It's clearly an agenda. If you have two eyes in your head and you're able to see, you can see that it's an agenda, and it's an agenda to decrease our population.
It's always been about destroying the Black family. The family is the foundation of the people.
The heterosexual Black male is last on the pecking order here in America. If you're just a heterosexual Black man, how are you gonna beat the case? Because when you show up to court, when you show up to the job interview, when you show up to wherever, you coming in here as a heterosexual Black man.
Heterosexuality is
if anybody should have a problem with European males, it should be the European female. Because everything the European male has ever learned to do to us, he first practiced on his own woman.
We need resources in education. We need resources in labor. We need resources in politics. We need resources in medical. We need resources in so many things, but they ignore that and they put millions and even billions of dollars to tell us that you need to really embrace your LBGT side. So these people have an agenda, and it's up to us to understand what the agenda is.
So
I think he made this documentary just to justify viewing.
I'm just saying because of your hatred towards him, you messed up your opportunity for being on the show. I just as a disclaimer, I had to let her know that you said F her and you didn't even know her.
I don't believe in guilt by association.
You said it. You said F everybody who ever did anything with him.
I said
That's
that.
what you said.
Yeah.
You did. Anyway.
Yeah, fuck that.
But y'all can do the debate. Boom, last one.
You know, that whole promote gay for genocide, that's the most inefficient genocide that has ever been carried out. Man, that's just throwing.
Listen, a reminder that and this is why I don't understand why this has to become the isolated focus, and other than what I think is my perception of a white supremacist media pipeline that is a conduit through certain segments of Black political and media spaces. But as Derek Bell said, the late, great Derek Bell pointed out, it's public policy that he said, as it currently relates to Black people, is the equivalent of taking hundreds of Black people out to a secluded field each week and shooting them. That's how he described the overall public policy apparatus as it impacts access to health care, decent housing, food, et cetera, and so forth, engagement with the police, the legal system, all of that. So to reduce it to an agenda to bisexualize or effeminize men, to depopulate Black people, is to, even to the extent that there would be any accuracy in that, and I'm not suggesting there is, but to the extent that there would be, why anyone would want to somehow make that the focus as opposed to the array of public policies that are, to Bell's point, the equivalent of actual slow motion genocide. I've argued even the cultural appropriation and distortion of rap music satisfies the definition of the UN's portion of their definition of genocide and slow motion death measures and so on and so forth. So why would anyone make this other than what I think are some very conservative, safe, financially, algorithmically friendly, even purposes that avoid actual conflict and anyway, I mean, it's, but yeah. So sorry. Go ahead.
Let me say, I listen all my life.
Read the
All
money.
my
The money givers, Diallo. You ignoring the
Enoch
money
Coalition.
givers.
So much of the STEM to militarism pipeline resembles how much of the Black middle class was created through getting a good government job. Same loop now. I think that's a great point. Thank you for the support.
All my life, it wasn't my Blackness. It wasn't poverty. It wasn't even my politics. It's my heterosexuality has held me back. Being a heterosexuality has been under attack, and heterosexual straight pride movement is what we need to stop the genocide. So, and anybody that says differently is obviously closeted and part of the agenda. Thank you, Tariq.
I also think that clip, I don't, obviously I haven't seen the whole thing, but what the brother is saying to describe masculinity as toxic, that's not what is being said.
Yeah.
At all. At all.
So, okay.
Y'all over there watching all them sports. I told y'all about that.
Toxic masculinity and masculinity being toxic is just wild conflate. Yeah, but yeah.
Every time I come on this show and y'all just talk about sports non-stop. How is that not toxic?
So listen, we got 4 more stuff to get into. We got the negative propaganda against Cuba. I think we talked a little bit about last week. Community-owned mixed-use project. Bill Strickland, and then Trump getting some Black love. Any direction y'all want to?
Well, given that, for me, I just wanted to raise up the name of Bill Strickland, who passed away. It could be connected easily to the Cuba piece because it's on a trip to Cuba in 2000 that I met Strickland in person for the first time. And while I'll admit our interaction wasn't always the most pleasant, the brother was one of the early sort of academic defenders within Black studies or elsewhere of Malcolm X's legacy with the Make It Plain book and series. He was even a defender at one point, I thought importantly, of Lerone Bennett's work on Lincoln. Where there was a lot of forced into glory, where a lot of particularly the white academic world was up in arms over that work. And he was also
critic.
He was also in not that he needed this on his bio, but he was a contributor with a chapter in our anthology defending Malcolm once again against the book attributed to Manning Marable, which I think is more accurate to say the more I've learned over the years, the book attributed to Manning Marable by Viking Press. And I think that Strickland represented and represents still a reminder of what Black studies was meant to be in its initial imposition onto U.S. campuses, that it was meant to be an intellectual arm of a Black liberation struggle. It was meant to reflect, it was meant to support the aspirations of Black working people, of grassroots efforts, and of people far outside of any so-called ivory tower. So rest in power to Bill Strickland and a lot of what he represented in terms of Black studies, and as I would suspect would one day have to be said of me. I think we need to give room to people who might at times be difficult to get along with in certain spaces and remember their broader work and contribution, even as sometimes we have little bumps in our social roads. So big shout out to him. And by the way, I just want to say, even someone of his stature being up there, Amherst, and being such an important figure, being associated with a critique of Manning Marable is not a career booster. It does not get you invited and get you promoted and get you. So I thought it was very important that someone of his stature was willing to speak publicly in critique of that work, because not a lot of people were.
So he, I guess early on, he started out with NAACP Youth Council, and then he became attracted to Malcolm X's worldview. He met Malcolm X when he was around 5 or 6 years old because his cousin was friends with Malcolm X.
Roxbury, right? Sorry,
yeah, they grew up.
Right, that's right.
So he actually knew Malcolm X. He met him he was 5 and 6, but he also met Louis Farrakhan at that age too. But he went to Harvard and then ended up meeting Malcolm again in Harvard, and that's when he became his, aide or surrounded him, and I guess that's what made him more of a credible historian, Malcolm X historian. But I was going to ask you, what do you thought about that critique, his personal critique of Manning Marable? But it sounds like it was cool with you.
Yeah, I mean, we published it, so it definitely was, and we were very clear. Our bias was very clear. We weren't going to publish anything we didn't agree with, including the publisher's son's work. We said no to Ta-Nehisi Coates's work, so we were very clear, and Paul supported that. So with all the it was all good, But at the outset, Bill Strickland said, "I want to make it plain, pun intended, that my critique of Manning Marable's Malcolm X, A Life of Reinvention, is political, historical, and personal. Personal because I was born in Boston and grew up in the same Roxbury that Malcolm once called home, though he was, of course, a generation older." And that is how he approached but his critique is based on a scholarly assessment of what Marable got wrong. So he takes a few pages at the beginning of that chapter to talk about his personal relationship and history, growing up and meeting Malcolm and working sort of in that umbrella of Malcolm's organizations. But then he gets into the specific critique of the scholarship of Marable, or that is attributed to Marable in that book that is ultimately a Viking Press product. Right. So you get the personal, as he said there, but you also get a very scholarly assessment of what Marable's work gets wrong, and there's a lot. And we can, one day come back and talk about it. May 19th is coming up. So yeah. And as a segue of sorts, if we want to use it that way, meeting him as I did on that trip to Cuba, Strickland was aware, as Malcolm was, as any Black revolutionary is, that the diaspora is important, and Cuba's revolution in particular has been of great importance. And even as I talked about with Otis Cunningham and Lisa Brock the other day, there are some contradictions and issues still remaining with the revolution. It is something that has to be defended and supported, given its objective role in an African world and Black American liberation history.
Yeah. So this is a piece by Hood Communist, and I think last week Diallo, I don't know if Diallo just mentioned it or somebody in the comments mentioned, and it was like, oh, there was a riot going on, a demonstration. I was like, for what or who? And again, I don't know if you followed up Diallo or looked into it, but a lot of times, as Hood Communist says, and as Jared was saying, defending the revolution also means defending it from propaganda and and misdirecting why things are happening. So a shortage of food or any type of economic or social issue a lot of times are directly connected to the blockade and the imposition that the U.S. has on Cuba since 1962. So yeah, I don't know, Diallo, if you looked into more and see what the uprising was about, but there's a good article on Hood Communist that kind of speaks to it, and it ties in the same thing with Burkina Faso and their support, where if you're fighting empire, the language that is used to explain certain things, i.e. in Nicaragua, when the CIA controlled school was closed down and made public so that everybody can go now, Nicaragua was blamed for fucking up education or stopping people from getting education, when all actuality is a private school that was funded by the CIA, who also tried to coup the country, was finally closed down for not following the rules that all schools should follow. So any thoughts or response, Diallo? And you're muted if you're talking, bro.
I don't know if anybody's read the book Confessions of an Economic Hitman, where they talk about the hitman, the jackals, and then the military. And it's textbook. One thing the U.S. does to U.S. citizens is these countries that are not in favor, these non-aligned countries, are seen as monolithic, as if they don't have diverse populations with diverse points of views. And they tell you, well, if it's a socialist or communist regime, there is no freedom. There's no freedom of thought. There's no diversity in points of views. They're just a monolith. They're all just like Israel. It's all Hamas. So the fact that, and then if they're all the same, and then you can go and find some pro-capitalist, pro-Western Cubans, then obviously Cuba, the people of Cuba have surrendered or abandoned the revolution. They did the same thing to Venezuela. They went and got some white Venezuelans who had some good things to say about America and some bad things to say about the Bolivarian Revolution and
the ones in Miami.
And they made them the voice of the Venezuelan people. So the United States, through its ongoing illegal, it has been deemed an illegal blockade, illegal sanctions. There is no basis for sanctions. They told us that Cuba was an outpost of the Iron Curtain of the USSR, and that they were a fifth columnist, and they were an outpost of the USSR. So the United States had to have this aggressive anti-Cuban stand to protect us from the other superpower. And then after the Soviet Union was dissolved, the glasnost, through glasnost and perestroika, the Soviet Union said, we're going to open up, we're going to go capitalist, we're going to embrace the rest. We all know that history, or we should. They intensified their attacks against Cuba. They intensified their blockade. They intensified the sanctions, and they intensified the illegal, extra legal incursions into Cuba. And so the United States has been in economic warfare and subversive jackals going into Cuba for over half a century. So with all understanding all that, the United States loves to ignore all that and say, well, Cuba is in crisis because socialism doesn't work. Socialism, even though everything from infant mortality to literacy, Cuba surpasses, even under an economic blockade and unrelenting sabotage. Many of its social markers well surpass the so-called capitalist Latin American countries and the capitalist Caribbean countries. Fidel was very fond of saying there are millions of homeless children all over the world, but not one of them is Cuban, in his speeches. So all that to say is that anytime you're getting mainstream news about Cuba here, anti-socialist protests, anti-Castro regime, anti-communist, pro-American protest in the United States, you can go anywhere to find anything. You can find communist in America, and you can find capitalist and pro-Western in Cuba. But that does not reflect that does not tell you anything about the nature of the unrest, the nature of the discontent, the source of the power outages and food shortages, and the solutions or the desires of the people. So I think you can almost dismiss anything. I mean, the United States has lost all legitimacy and relationship to the Cuban condition and the Cuban people's desires or uprisings. The United States. So I would say that you need to go through more valid sources when talking about it. And when I brought it up, I just knew this is like, more of the failings of capitalism. Because more of the failings of socialism. Because when capitalism fell, it's because we're buying lattes. and we're buying lattes, Jordan,
and taking advantage of PPP loans.
Right. That's what capitalism failed, because the capitalism is sound. But when socialism fell, it's an indictment of the whole philosophy, the system, the socialist. It's an indictment of the system across the board. Even though I have to go back to Noam Chomsky. He said, there is no failed socialist or communist state. He's like, in fact, by definition, the only failed states you can observe are Western capitalist states, because a nation cannot be defined as a failed state if it's been under relentless attack and deliberately collapsed or subverted. So that's not a failed state.
Well, before they fail and hit inflation, they'll just take employment all the way down so they can recap. But speaking of fail,
no matter if you're an entrepreneur, you need employment worker suppression. That's how we're gonna get free.
That's how it works.
Entrepreneurialism.
Speaking of which, Pastor Diallo, Jared, said that you should not send your daughter down to no damn Spelman because they done sold their soul for 30 pieces of chicken. Not 30 pieces of silver, but 30 pieces of chicken.
I blame you and
I ain't do nothing. Anyway,
I gotta say, unfortunately, the decision it looks like it's not going to be up to us. It's a very, I admit, first world problem. But we're in a real dilemma of, we are on paper doing well enough not to get enough support, and we're in reality not doing well enough to afford these universities.
Oh, wow.
So my daughter's been invited to a number of universities, but the financial aid package, in addition to FAFSA having a broken system this year and not working, universities are not offering, including Spelman, not offering enough money, and they are too damn expensive. They are, and we're not doing debt, so there will be no loans. So we're gonna have to make some adjustments here to the final decision. But
I know Zinzi waiting to pounce. So she said just Spelman, but obviously there was only one school that Jared was talking about. But he was in Atlanta, the Donald man, and he came and he visited Vine City Neighborhoods Chick-fil-A, and that location is like right there in the area of the cluster of HBCUs. So you have Morehouse, Spelman, Morris Brown, and Clark Atlanta.
Shithole.
And wait, chill out, bro. What you talking about, bro? Black excellence. Chill out. Slow down.
I'm sorry. I thought that's what Trump said. Okay.
No. He was in there. He was, he's buying chicken for everybody. You get a milkshake. You get a chicken. And then, but they also noted that he was not too far from Fulton County Jail, about 2 miles away from Fulton County Jail, where he did his little mugshot down there. But they was doing a Buckhead fundraiser where per couple the tickets was $6,600, and if you pay $25,000, you get a photo opportunity with Trump, so you get to say Trump. But while they was there, they was kicking it with the he went to go kick it with some of them with the blacks, and this is what happened when he was with the blacks.
And also some chicken. We're going to take care of the customers. Is business good? You're making a lot of money? Everyone can get rich, right? Thanks very much. Look at the way you hope. You like each other, right? See everybody. How you doing, Trump? I'm doing good. I love you, man. You look good. I love you. Everybody straight. Everybody having a good time. Get ready. Yeah, I give you one.
This is Morehouse. This is Moore's Brand. I don't care what the media tells you. We support you, man. Okay, 4 p.m. We do 4 p.m.
Come here, let me give you a.
Gaze. That's a gaze.
Can I have 30 milkshakes?
Tell my mama I made it.
That was a gaze.
That was the what?
The gaze.
Well, in biological terms, a grouping of raccoons is called a gaze, like a pride of lying or a herd of buffalo or a gaze of coons. But I blame y'all. That shit y'all fault.
What you mean, y'all? Wait. Set on a play. Who did what?
Y'all spend so much time critiquing accurately and appropriately critiquing liberalism. Y'all forgot to tell black folks about conservatism. Y'all forgot to tell black folks about conservatism.
Oh, word.
You know, so
I mean,
that's why. And
listen.
No,
You talking radical shit, but do you got milkshake and chicken? Did you give out some milkshake?
I gotta quote Saul Williams. He said, "We not free, we cheap." Because, like you said, you can flip in 30 milkshake, and that woman that was there, they interviewed her.
Oh yeah.
She said it was both life-changing. It was a life-changing experience.
Oh, Lord.
And she also said that she finally sees that the media's perception of Trump was wrong. Did they expect him to come in there grabbing pussies? I mean,
he was in one. He was in one. He was in one on the cartoon show. He was in one.
Michelle Montgomery. That's the sister with the braids that hugged him and said, "Mama, I made it." She said that everything that they said
was wrong.
None of the stuff they say about him in the media was true when she met him. So, and that too many. He didn't grab one pussy the whole time he was in there. So the media had been lying on Trump for years.
Pause. Hey, but look, this that's a bad note. We can end on a good note. Something that I want to show y'all. And this organization is somewhat connected to CMB, so we intersect a little bit. But so I was reading Cooperative Jackson's Redux, and there's a line in there that talk about how for every 29 vacant properties, there's one person without a house. So one homeless person per every 29 vacant properties. And this organization is trying a project that, hold on, let me see if I might have to replay it.
Just quickly, Chitty Macha said my previous background was giving her PTSD from her Catholic, I guess, past experience.
You were spitting with that background. Now we got the, okay.
Yeah, now we got, I don't know. I just quickly wanted to change.
Let me replay this.
I can't be participating in that.
Greenville Avenue in Atlanta's Capitol View neighborhood, which will be Atlanta's first community-owned and community-governed mixed-use project.
We realized that the best thing for us to do for a community-owned project is to act as if the people who will own it one day already own it and make all the decisions with them. So the project involves 18 units of housing in addition to the commercial space. While thriving communities need permanently affordable housing, they also need businesses and space for businesses.
The first event that we did out here after we'd acquired the building, we had a Juneteenth celebration. And we painted a mural on the side of the building and asked people to write on the building, what do you want to see here? What do you want this to be? And it's so dope, like reading the suggestions, because so many of them we were able to incorporate into the building.
Things like stoops and porches, which are so often lost in multifamily housing, are a key component of social life. we built in these really deep 13-foot wide porches on each floor that run the entire length of the building, with the idea that we really want people to be able to say hello to passersby and embed this building in the neighborhood's psyche.
One thing that was a huge ask, a huge desire, was for fresh grocery in this building. So that's why the space we're standing in is going to be a grocery store.
So a couple things about this this effort. I got one more to share, one more page. So as you can see, this is the one on 918 Dill Avenue, and 7,000 square feet commercial building on Capitol View neighborhoods, and it will be mixed, converted into community-based retail and permanent affordable housing. And they connected with a group of people who were attempting kind of to buy back their block. And again, this what do you call it? Land. I don't remember the name. I'm blanking right now. But purchasing land for activists and organizers and artists to be able to not worry about housing, and then also have like a community and resources around them. So kind of answering to food apartheid. And the units they say will be 60 to 80% the average market income. So it'll remain affordable throughout the time. And yeah, I was just wondering if y'all obviously got a chance to look at it, but any initial thoughts about?
I didn't get a chance to look too carefully. So my initial thoughts are if it's doing as much as could be expected. I don't know. Are there any uncomfortable connections that I didn't look at? To I don't know who's backing. Are there any uncomfortable back? I don't know. That would have to be the question I didn't get a chance to look into, the project partners or something like that. But if it's other than that, I mean, and I didn't hear anything that said this is an entrepreneurial solution to the problems of housing and inequality. It sounds like it's as good a nonprofit project as we could probably expect.
Yeah, now there were some entrepreneurial language in there somewhere that I saw that I was like,
Community wealth building strategies, increase asset ownership, anchor jobs, local. So that would, I mean, I'm always going to be in disagreement with that kind of messaging. The idea that wealth inequality is the result of there being an absence of wealth building strategies to increase asset ownership. So yeah, I would take.
And then right here, so that's why I was struggling with a little bit. But again,
entrepreneurship and real estate have been key wealth building strategies in America. In America, yes, they have been.
Yeah. So yeah, those were the few kind of like, and I don't mind talking about community wealth building if we redefine what it is. What? Yeah. Go ahead, Diallo. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with Jared again that I think within that arena, it's, I mean, even when y'all last week shared the Black Lives Matter political platform, you know, if you simply critique within its scope and arena, like he said, it's the best you can do within that arena. But again, I heard about what they're going to do, and he even said that the ownership comes after. So I would withhold, because he even said, you know, this is something that they will eventually come to own. We're going to build it and set it up, and then I have to say, I was in Brooklyn in the 90s, and I'm not accusing them of that, but when I saw these type of projects, they were pretty much pathfinders or the vanguard of aggressive gentrification.
Yeah.
And they literally did that here in Chicago. They have this multi-million-dollar development, and just about 6 years ago, they found this old abandoned theater that was at the on the Green Line, and a not-for-profit took it over, and they had a big chalkboard thing on the front. It's like, write what you want this community to be.
Yeah.
And people were writing on there, and it sat there for about another 5-6 years. And now right across the street from that is a multi-million-dollar commercial development that's going to drive up taxes and drive out residents, and the police are more aggressively policing around that development. So I would just, again, my go-to position on these type of projects is cautious optimism and evaluation, because, you know, it's at its infancy. They're talking about what they're implementing, and will they hold to these outcomes? You know, remember NACA?
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all remember NACA, which is as predatory as the banks it was supposed to challenge.
Yeah, I remember being in Baltimore. I used to think like, oh, well, what if so for instance, there's like a lot of solid people, to my estimation, that's spread out through the city. And I was like, well, what if all of us like was moving in one community and they help us get housing and whatever, and we like organize that community first. And I think, again, the approach is interesting. But again, entrepreneur and real estate have been the key to building wealth strategies. I think having an analysis that excludes violence, public policies, and speaking into, you know, our being drunken with the concept of entrepreneurship. And then, but this is supposed to be one of Atlanta's first co-living company. And they created this space for change makers, entrepreneurs, artists, and community organizers to live, work, and gather and thrive. And so in that space, they'll be offering workshops, community resources. But again, as you said, like the outcome and the impact, and then maybe even if the people outbid them and still gentrify the area, like what is going to be the plan to fight against that will be interesting as well. But yeah, that's all I got. That's all we got for our run sheet. I think we can get into.
We just got a couple questions and then the big announcement. There were a couple things I just wanted to answer very quickly. Zenzabel, yes, we've lost followers because we're late with our announcement. If anyone,
not really.
Well, that's what. But please, RBG and anyone wanting to have me, the best way to have me respond or for me to see it even, please send me an email. I know it's old school. I mix what I like at gmail.com. But I can't keep up with all the DMs, and then I can't go back and find stuff, and you can't search stuff. So I can't, my memory is, I know he's about to say something trifling. I'm just going to try to,
you always got it loaded.
I can't keep up with because you get the Facebook Messenger, the Instagram, the Twitter is so. And Jamila, I saw this, and so my short answer, I don't know enough, but to say coming to Baltimore soon with the nonprofits being able to buy $1 houses for $1,000. I'm not entirely sure of any of the details. I am for, again, having experienced briefly the complete absence of any shelter and safety net. Anything that's going to put somebody in a shelter, in a decent house, in a decent place to live, I'm basically for it. As long as it's understood that this is not going to it's not going to solve the problem. I'm like, yeah, people got to get into some shelter.
Non-reformist reforms.
I mean, it is, you know, my issue is only, again, obviously, as we keep saying here, when people start substituting that as revolution. So, So, all right. You got the flyer. Did you do a new flyer, Diallo? I don't even know if we're using this. Are we showing that flyer? Are we not making the announcement? You're muted again. You're muted, Diallo.
I can't control myself, man. I have to use technology, which I hate, to control myself, because I was going to say some things. I was actually going to translate what you really be saying when you.
That's how you use STEM, Diallo. I advocate you use STEM like that from now on. Mute yourself more often, Diallo. That's a good use of STEM.
Okay. Yes.
Appreciate you, brother.
Any more bullying you want to do before I
No, I'm not bullying. I'm agreeing with you. I thought you said it stop you from saying stuff you don't mean to say or you shouldn't be saying. So I'm saying when you mute yourself, you can use STEM in a way that's liberatory, and you and Dr. Mayat can save y'all master debating together and just rock out. So I'm with you, bro.
Almost made it. We almost made it.
No, go ahead. Go
Pause.
How's it pause? That's not
No.
Don't worry about me. I got nothing to say. I'm waiting to see you making this announcement.
That ain't bug breaking. What?
I'm with Albert. Me and Albert on the same page right now.
All I'm saying,
mutual master debate. All right, go ahead. Stop.
I don't understand how that's possible. That's all.
Chill out, man. Go ahead, man. Make the announcement.
Well, I'm not making the announcement. I was just saying I have to redo the flyer. I didn't put the Nomu logo on there.
So we're not using the one we
You
have?
can use it, but I'm gonna make another one and another.
Okay.
And so it's gonna be a few, and I gotta make one for the thing, and so I'll just be doing all that. I'll be
all right. So we're gonna get an updated flyer, but we do want to start announcing that celebrating for Malcolm X's birthday.
Del Jones' birthday too,
and Del Jones's birthday,
Nana Kuntu,
and Juneteenth,
and
wait, no, that's not what you do.
It's May.
It's May. Oh, it's May. God, that's too soon.
Go ahead, Diallo. Chill out. Let Jared do it. You pass the baton. You pass the baton for the announcement. So let Jared do it. Because you just.
Sorry. No, I generally in my own head, even though I'm looking at May, I thought that's next month.
And Jesus' birthday. Look at Diallo, man. Go ahead, Jared.
Some things around.
The inaugural first ever Earn Your Liberation live event hosted by Nomu in Charm City, Tubman City, Baltimore on Malcolm X's. Is that Del Jones's birthday, or did you have the date?
Yeah, Nana Kuntu. Yeah, that's Nana Kuntu birthday.
That's
okay. Okay. So everybody, is there a link that we need them to go to? What are we saying?
It's coming.
So mark your calendar. Stay tuned for forthcoming flyer updates, link updates, and come check us out live.
We got to create one, and we're gonna have to do like social media, like
yeah.
I mean,
yeah. So we working on.
Told us to call Tyrone.
Our manager is working on a.
Phone,
our manager is working on a landing page.
We're in a
our manager is working on a landing page. But also, so what we will do, we'll have a link for people. So there's a ticketed event, but the ticket is obviously pay whatever you want, whatever you decide. And then for the people who don't want to come, don't include Diallo in it, like, because I know that's gonna make y'all go less. But also for the people who want to just donate and show love, you could also do that too. But we will have a link up soon with the information on where you can donate to and or get the tickets. And then we'll start sharing that immediately. Maybe by this evening we should have that done.
ZZ Lion says selling tickets.
Well, technically, it's like a donation ticket, so whatever.
Yeah, it's not really.
Yeah.
Do you have to pay? I think that's not what we're saying.
No, you can go on and pay as little or as much as you deem us worthy of, but we have to raise the funds.
We do have to raise some cost coverage.
But we at the mercy of the people.
But that's not this is
Geechee wouldn't make any of his corporate contacts to
sponsor. I mean, you actually got them all smashed for me. You messed up all my corporate contacts. They ain't rocking with me no more.
We'll go find some new names to drop.
I tried. I'm back in the streets again. So
come on, Snipe.
Diallo. Hopefully you can get me some money. Some of your little Brandon Johnson money.
Like I said, we homeless. EYL. It's homeless.
But there's actually I had a meeting that there's probably gonna be a couple of them piling up afterwards, and then while we're in Detroit, we'll try to work on, because I was at Mama Cool House, and it's a dope house. Yusuf got a nice space up here, so we'll try to make stuff
we just follow Geechee's perennial world tour. And
I mean,
you know,
the gray heads are, you gotta help them out, and these brothers, taking their time. Show me your walking stick, Diallo. Don't you got a walking stick?
No.
Oh.
And then everybody make sure tomorrow is a lot happening on the platform. So tomorrow we got Saturdays with Renee, we got Warrior Class, and then we got Sweetie's Coffee coming through to talk about Black entrepreneurialism.
Oh, can you get Sweetie to do the coffee for the event?
Let me make a note. I will ask. That's a good idea. Somebody, if the chat happens to remember, please help me remember, but I am writing it down.
That'll be some good photo op. All of us can drink Sweetie's coffee while
I'm literally drinking it right now. So
I ain't never tasted, I don't think.
Yeah. Oh, they have
fair trade.
I'm sure it is.
Because I only engage in ethical consumption under capitalism.
You are that.
Is it organic fair
what
trade?
What we call vegan latte,
oat milk.
They have a good Italian espresso roast that I enjoy. So
they got any African coffee, like Ethiopian coffee or anything like that? Or?
I believe they got a lot. There's a lot of stuff.
Kenyan coffee is better than
African.
Ethiopian.
Kenyan coffee is good.
Y'all just biased as hell. Y'all just go with
Kenyan coffee is good. They're probably number 2.
Kenyan
number 2 on the
coffee
continent.
is better. The Kenyan roast, the Kenyan beans. I don't know what they're doing over there in them high altitude. But everybody talking about Ethiopian coffee, and
You must ain't had no real Ethiopian coffee.
Ethiopian. I've had Ethiopian. I ain't saying
You look like the brother who eat Teflon's injera.
I am a coffee connoisseur. I am
injera, man.
I don't know. I'm part of the coffee bourgeoisie. Like I said, when the revolution come and y'all go after the coffee industry, I might be out of that line standing with.
Oh wow!
Yeah, no, Kenyan coffee is strong. It's number 2, but it's not better than I'm talking about real Ethiopian coffee. I don't know what you in Chicago. That don't count. Y'all probably don't got no real Ethiopian coffee over there.
Coffee
we got Ethiopians everywhere.
But that don't mean the coffee is authentic. You ever seen the white injera bread that has no tef in it? Those people don't make good coffee either. So you can't go to an Ethiopian restaurant with white blonde injera and whatever coffee they got.
I was in Little Ethiopia in Oakland. Maybe we can have, if we raise enough funds, maybe we can have a live session in Ethiopia. But all I'm saying is, I'm not trying to disparage Ethiopian coffee. It gets all the love it deserves. I'm just saying Kenyan coffee needs some love. I've had
number 2.
Kenyan
It's a strong number 2. It's a strong number 2. And
there's
on the
no
continent.
hierarchy. What kind of socialist are you? It's all good. There's no
There's numbers.
But by the way, we should, just to let folks know, because I don't think we said anything about if folks come to the live show, what should they expect?
Vegan food? Did y'all put that on there?
Food.
I
believe.
I mean, it's going to be some vegan food.
The blue M&Ms, even though that's not vegan, I gotta have the blue M&M.
I'll take any color of the Justin's M&Ms, the vegan peanut butter M&Ms.
I think I'm getting that from the film Spinal Tap. I think I'm getting that joke about the specific colored M&Ms on a
Little
rider
Kevin
as a
only
spoof.
Little Kevin didn't like the orange M&Ms on The Wire.
Yeah, there was something. Maybe that's it. There's something. I'm
like
getting this from somewhere. Yeah.
That's what y'all gonna
4
expect.
hours of y'all yelling at each other in real life. Okay, that's it. Eventually, there's gonna be some merch.
Susan Bell. Lord have his mercy. Why are people so hard on us?
I think there would be more engagement, more Q&A time. I know that's part of it. If a fight breaks out, I'm there. Ain't nobody.
I mean, somebody might throw a chair at Diallo, but that's about it.
That ain't happen. I get love everywhere I go. Wait, where is that? Yes, Jesus Christ, how do you do this? Oh, yes, they make M&Ms vegan. They've always made M&Ms, but now they're vegan, dark chocolate.
Justin?
They make vegan.
Yes.
Justin's makes
When?
vegan
I got a whole
M&M.
package downstairs.
Let me see it. Send it to us.
I'm about to
I'm supposed to
find
go
this right
downstairs.
now.
I'll have one of my helpers. My
I ain't never
bring it up. I'll ring the bell. Where's my little bell?
I didn't see Justin's
M&M word.
Good, man. I've been throwing
in Whole Foods. Where you get it from?
Yeah, my sugar is through the roof.
Oh, they do. Oh,
I mean, I do got a vegan peanut butter brownie over there.
Oh, damn it. I'm in trouble. Trouble, boy.
Fire. I've been throwing them.
They
shit
got
back.
organic dark chocolate.
Had them on sale 2 for 1. I think
and they got
peanut butter. Week, but man,
they got the peanut butter kind too. Oh no.
Yeah, and they put them on sale when they put the Easter candy on sale. They put the M&Ms on sale, even though they weren't Easter themed. Man, I stocked up. Boy, I don't play. I mean, I get it in.
This is the version. This is my version of needing to be chained to the proverbial radiator.
Yeah.
So Jared, at the end of the show, you can put a link in the notes where they can donate, or the information for they can donate. So if people rewatching this, they'll be able to see where they can donate. And then
do we have that link?
I don't think we have it right now. We have to decide which.
I don't think we have to. We got to figure out how we're doing.
We just got to go on we got to put that mess together and then just start putting it out there
this afternoon.
Yeah. And did y'all call Tyrone and hopefully Tyrone will answer the phone and come.
All right. So let's wrap up, and if we can, we can stay on a little bit.
I try to show Lindsay some love, and she's still beefing with me. I try to show her love.
Oh wow.
We can't never get along, man.
Y'all attracted to negativity, especially Geechee. That's he loves the negativity.
Let's wrap up. If we got a minute, we can wrap for a second. Look, thanks everybody for coming through. Big shout out to the remixers. Please continue to like, share, subscribe. Mark your calendars for May 19th, and we will catch you next time. Peace only if you're willing to fight for it, like Fred Hampton used to say, and we'll catch you next week right here on
You got to earn your liberation.